Welcome to this week's episode of You'll Only Listen Twice, our podcast where we're taking a look at all the Bond films, both official and unofficial. This is a reboot of You'll Only Listen Twice. There are no bits in this version. I'm Jake, as always.
I'm Troy. And in accordance with our reboot philosophy, we have cut Jan and Paul from this episode.
Jan can't speak. He's been cut. No, we recast him, and now there's an actor. He's so good at it, you won't even notice the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, it's me, Jan. This is what I sound when they rebooted me.
Ooh-wee.
Ooh-wee.
Halfway through the podcast, we'll tell someone, "You're a Paul," every snow of it. And that will be how we acknowledge Paul until we break down and bring him back in 2 more movies.
Yeah, I'm not quite the producer, Paul, you remember. I am now 50% conglomerated with Sony Pictures.
Yes.
It's going to be a very similar experience, but we're all very happily typing away on our Sony Via.
Yeah, we all have Sony
You
Ericssons.
can't call yourself producer Paul until the end of this episode, when you earn it.
And we play the theme.
And Jan will not be Jan until our Skyfall episode, when he says, "My name is Eve Jan Bros."
And we put him behind a desk where he belongs.
Yeah. Right now I'm just working on a toll booth, chipping away.
I was going to say, I know we haven't met Dogify yet. Is Jan married or is she dead?
Right now I'm single, baby. My phone number is... You can believe that, Jake.
That lady?
He's available.
The interesting thing is that my marriage actually made a lot of money, and a lot of people went to see it, but it was still so bad that I had to completely reboot it.
Yeah, no, we have to start from scratch.
I've been to one of those. I've been to a couple of those.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say a lot of people liked your marriage, Jan? Only you liked your marriage. No one else liked your marriage.
Much like Die Another Day.
So this is a James Bond movie.
This is the first James Bond movie ever, after the last one.
This is a clean slate. The 21st Bond movie, but it's actually the first one, because there was no James Bond beforehand, but also remember, there were 40 years of James Bond films.
This is the Xbox One of James Bond movies.
the Godzilla -1.
Yeah, exactly.
James Bond 1.0.
We're talking about Casino Royale.
At Casino Royale.
Nope, not that one. Not that one.
We're doing it again.
That doesn't exist.
So Peter Sellers is taking a shit.
Peter Sellers dresses up as Hitler. And,
Woody Allen is talking to a naked lady on a table because he's under 5. He's like 5'5" and he can't get a date. This is after he survived execution in the South American Banana Republic.
This is a very serious version of James Bond. And I'll tell you how it came to be. Most of it we already talked about in the Casino Royale 1967 episode.
In Casino Royale!
Very interesting and commendable, I must say, that they could have just kept making that money printing garbage that they've been doing for the last 45 years. And Barbara Broccoli just said, I kind of want to make a real movie this time around.
That's the strangest thing, because, Die Another Day was the highest grossing Bond film, at least at that point. And they were just like, well, we could keep doing this.
I would have been fine with that.
They actually were going to make a Jinx spinoff. And I didn't realize this until a couple nights ago.
No.
But it wasn't just talk. Neil Purvis and Robert Wade wrote a script that was ready that they were going to send to Halle Berry. No, I didn't read it.
We should review the Jinx screenplay.
Patreon content, we'll do a table read of the Jinx.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Presumably Jan
If we
will
can
play
find
Jinx.
Yeah, I'll be Jinx.
Oh no.
It'll be great.
Yo mama.
But,
oh boy, this is an independent film all over again.
So apparently they wanted to make the Jinx movie a little bit more small scale compared to Die Another Day, with, less CGI effects, more character driven.
For Jinx?
For Jinx, yes.
Your mama.
Okay, cool.
And but they wanted to do it because they thought they would never get away with doing it in a Bond movie, especially after Die Another Day. And then when they were on the way to meet up with Halle Berry to show her this.
We can't. Die Another Day was so shameful. We can never rework it, but we can do a gritty reboot of Jinx.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's where, like, when you have a podcast about movies, like, your opinion of the movies warps them. Like, where, like, Die Another Day, you couldn't. Why would you want to change direction from Die Another Day? The rest of the world, meanwhile, was like,
They couldn't make that today. No, but
really
they were this
couldn't.
close to actually doing it. They were going to meet up with Halle Berry when all of a sudden Barbara Broccoli calls up Purvis and Wade and they went like, bust out your copies of Casino Royale, because I'm thinking of doing this and rebooting the series. And now this is interesting because, like we said in the Casino Royale 1967 episode, the legal rights to Casino Royale are completely fucked. So yeah, there are multiple tries to get it off the ground. I actually confirmed, because I watched the special features on the Casino Royale DVD. There's a John Cork documentary on my 4K Blu-ray set where they talk about like pretty much every nook and cranny. They interview like Lorenzo Semple Jr., who worked on the initial draft with Gregory Radoff.
wait, which Casino Royale DVD special features was this?
Casino Royale Road to the Screen, I think it's called.
Oh, and they got Lorenzo Semple Jr. to come?
Yeah, they got Lorenzo Semple Jr. to
Boss.
talk about writing it, this is
He's
back in
my
the
favorite Lorenzo.
Mine too, by far.
Why did you say that name? Okay.
But this is back in the 50s when they were developing it, and I also learned that they would like travel around the world writing this, and he was paid through Gregory Radoff taking a bunch of money out of his pocket and putting it in Lorenzo Semple Jr.'s hands and saying, "Go have fun, kid."
And this was the 67?
This was before the 1967. This is still in the 50s, where this version of
Jesus
James
Christ.
Bond was a gangster who was recruited by the CIA to take out Le Chiffre in a game of Baccarat.
Why wouldn't they just adapt the fucking novel?
Well, they did. They did it. Everything was the same, except there was no James Bond.
That's like the main part.
I know.
We've heard your notes.
No, because Gregory Radoff was like, this guy is unbelievable. This guy can't exist. No one would care about a character named James Bond, British Secret Service agent 007 with a license to kill.
Yeah, that sounds boring.
It's baffling.
Do you think that for those 40 years between the 67 and 2006 Casino Royales, when people just had the 50s climax version and the 60s spoof, you think people just thought like, is this the worst novel ever written? It's like,
Well, no, here's the thing is that, like, the reason why they didn't adapt it, Gregory Radoff died, but half of it was owned by Charlie K. Feldman. Gregory Radoff's widow sells her share that she inherited of the Casino Royale rights back to Charlie K. Feldman. Charlie K. Feldman actually got Howard Hawks interested in directing it.
Okay.
This actually happened. We mentioned this on the last time, but they actually confirmed that freaking Howard Hawks watched a cut of Dr. No and was just like, yeah, no thanks, I'm not going to do this. So eventually we get the 1967 version because, you know,
because God hates us.
because God hates us and the brouhaha between making a deal with Broccoli and
riot.
Saltzman
I still have PTSD from the French coat
and
riot.
the riot. But no,
Well,
really.
that's the thing is, the Casino Royale was the most dangerous novel, apparently, because
Yeah, it
riots.
caused a riot in Boston.
It was like a Clockwork Orange, but for spy novels. It caused like an immense amount of violence on the streets.
But the movie was a shit movie. Made a bunch of money, but everybody hated it.
It was the
because
Die
it's
Another
bad.
Day of its time.
It was a Die Another Day of its time.
A
So
secret masterpiece, yes.
so nobody,
Every generation
God
deserves to
damn it.
die another day.
but no one deserves a Casino Royale 1967.
Except for me.
At Casino Royale.
Except Paul.
Except Paul. Paul can enjoy it all he wants. But after that, there was no reason to do Casino Royale because, yeah, there was that spoof movie. And the next year after Casino Royale came out, Charlie K. Feldman died.
What?
So half of the rights were owned by Columbia Pictures, and the other half were owned by United Artists.
Okay.
So they couldn't make the movie without the partnership of one or the other.
What do you mean half and half? What half?
Okay, so half of it was Columbia Pictures because Charlie K. Feldman set up the production there. And then when he died, everything that he was attached to was inherited by United Artists because he had a deal there in the 60s. So the rights were completely split. So for years, they're just like, yeah, we don't need to really do Casino Royale because, one, we have so many books that we can adapt, and we could choose to adapt. We don't even need to adapt the books. We can make original stories and not even bother.
Yeah, we don't need to adapt Casino Royale for this reason, that reason. Not because every Bond actor we cast looks 70 years old.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so, cut to the 90s, when we already talked about Kevin McClory coming back into the fold. And he was like, hey, Sony, I want to make a Thunderball remake, Warhead 80-2000. And they're just like, well, we have the rights to Casino Royale, and we can keep making these.
Woo!
Then you had that big lawsuit.
Oh.
As a result of that, MGM gives up their rights to Spider-Man to Sony, and Sony gives up their rights for Casino Royale to MGM.
Wait,
and Dan Jack.
what did Sony get in exchange for Casino Royale?
A little property from a fledgling company known as Spider-Man.
What an awful deal.
I know.
Wait, so if Sony
Terrible.
had kept Casino Royale, would we see like Madame Mathis? Could we see
maybe? Madam Mathis, yes.
his web connects us?
Mathis.
We would have gotten a bunch of spin-offs of James Bond based on characters only found in Thunderball and Casino Royale.
Like
Domino.
the big black guy that's sitting at the poker table in this one. Let's do a spin-off of him.
No, wait, Jan, you know who that character is?
Who?
That's Mr. Big. In the novel Live and Let Die.
Oh, is that supposed to be Mr. Big?
Yeah, that's Mr. Big.
Is it?
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, in Live and Let Die, they say he was at that poker game. And so
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't. I've read Live and Let Die. No, they don't.
All right, that's it.
This is another TV tropes lie.
It could be.
Stop reading that fucking
Having edited
website.
these episodes, there are multiple times where we have to hear Troy Google something and be like, oh.
Wait, I'm going to
That's
check.
not true.
I'm going to check.
Okay, you keep going, Jake.
Okay, so Eon Productions is able to make a Casino Royale movie. And after Die Another Day, it was a big box office success.
Deservedly so.
But it was an artistic failure, at least according to Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli, because they're just like, oh no, maybe we went too far in a few places.
I mean, they're not wrong, but it doesn't make the movie bad.
No, it doesn't. It, like, as we've discussed, Die Another Day is a fun, idiotic romp, and everyone should just love it. But there are some people who might be embarrassed by it because it's, you know, not a real movie. But
It's like when
boring.
your 5-year-old makes you a shitty doodle, is like you still hang it up on your fridge because you have affection for it, you know?
Yeah, but you don't encourage him.
Well, no, that's why they stopped.
But does this doodle have a North Korean colonel who disguises himself as a British aristocrat?
That is actually like almost exclusively what I drew as a kid after watching Die Another Day.
You drew Gustav Graves?
I drew a bunch of Gustav Graves.
Jan's parents wrote a letter to Eon Productions like, please stop.
How
Please make
dare
a
you.
real movie. We cannot stand this any longer.
So Jinx is being made. That ends up falling through, and they choose to do Casino Royale.
Because Albert Broccoli had always wanted to do Casino Royale, and he appeared to Barbara as a ghost, and he was like, whenever you don't know
Well, Barbara
what to
Broccoli had a dream
Yeah.
that she was outside the penthouse window and was like, Cubby, tell me, what should I do? And he said, do Casino Royale.
do it.
So
I would
yeah.
I would shoot that ghost.
So Neil Purvis and Robert Wade do a draft, and then they turn to a kind of out of left field choice to rewrite the script. Paul Haggis,
Famous Scientologist.
ex-Scientologist.
At the time, he was
Ex-Scientologist.
in, yes.
Now he's just an alleged sex criminal.
Yeah.
But he's a really good writer. I mean,
No, he's not. Have you seen Crash?
No, Crash is terrible, but this movie has great dialogue.
Well, the only thing he rewrote in this movie, I heard, he rewrote the third act, because originally the third act was closer to the book where, spoilers, Vesper killed herself and did a recorded confession, and then James Bond did the whole building thing by himself. And Paul Haggis was like, why don't I put Vesper in the building?
That makes more sense.
Which is a great change. It ties the entire movie together, and it doesn't feel as clunky, because you're just like, oh, Vesper's dead. This is like the climax of the movie.
Are you saying Ian Fleming can be a clunky writer sometimes?
No, well, here's the thing, Casino Royale, is
it
that
works
the book,
in the novel.
Yeah, in the novel it works because that's the ending, is Bond finding the confession written on a piece of paper and her dead, and then she explains everything, and then he gets mad, and then he gets a call from MI6 and he says, yes, damn it, the bitch is dead. And that's the end of the book.
And the novel's not an action novel, so it doesn't have like an action climax.
Well, it's the novel Casino Royale is weird because
I really like that book.
It's not really an action novel, but it's still pulpy, but there's not a lot of set pieces or weird locations. Everything is pretty confined to this one resort town. Where
it really is mostly just playing poker. Well, the Baccarat, whatever. But Casino Royale was the first Bond book I read, and I was like, oh.
Same with me.
Ian Fleming was actually like a good, like I enjoyed this. Like I read it in like 2 days, and I thought it was really good.
Yeah, no, it's a quick read. It's a good book. It's funny because it feels like a book that comments on battling good and evil, and there's like a whole chapter where Bond basically has like a nihilistic turn. After he gets tortured, he talks to Mathis going like, what are we even doing? We're fighting the Russians in this Cold War. What's the point? They just have a different ideology. It's not like fighting the Nazis where they're just fucking evil.
It's like Fleming having like an internal dialogue with himself.
Yeah. Well, he wrote it actually right before he got married, because he didn't get married until he was in his 50s. Basically, writing Casino Royale was like his bachelor party, going like, all right, I'm going to get all my id out in this book, and it ends with Bond's Vesper dying.
And him going, the bitch is dead.
The bitch is dead.
The bitch is dead.
I wrote this for you, honey.
And that invigorates Bond's patriotism to fight for the British government, because, God damn it, those commie bastards are inhuman assholes that played me and played this poor woman.
I forget who it was, but one of his friends like claims that part of the inspiration was like they were at a French casino after World War II, and they were just playing people, and Ian Fleming was like, everyone there was a secret agent. I was playing. German agents wiped me out. And I'm like, wouldn't this be a novel? And his friend's like, he just played Portuguese businessmen. And then he just said to me, what if I played a German agent? And
yeah, basically.
The dude's like, what are you talking about, Ian?
Storytelling.
That was like Ian Fleming's fantasy, was that he could clean out like a Nazi career.
Oh my God. Before getting to Paul Haggis, we totally skipped over Mr. Terrentitti's wanting to do this.
Right.
Yeah, he wanted to do this with Pierce Brosnan in black and white.
Yeah. I made it a point that I said I wanted to do Casino Royale. Actually, if I would have done it, though, I wouldn't have done it with Daniel Craig. I would have done it with Pierce Brosnan.
That would have been awesome, too. I mean, it would have been very different, but it would have been cool.
It is interesting to think about, like, I don't know, and as we go on and we talk about what the franchise will become, it is interesting, like, it would have been cool, but I get why Eon didn't want to do it, because that would just be passing the buck down one more movie to being like, okay, that would be cool as a one-off, but how do we actually, like, fix this franchise?
That's one thing, and I think it worked out for the best, because it's like, a James Bond Tarantino movie would have been really fun, would have been really intense, etc., but, like, this is something, like, new, you know what I mean? Like, it's new Bond, new style. It's not, I mean, I'm sure Tarantino would have made it like the jokey Tarantino type thing. This is like completely serious, and I think it all worked out for the best. Like, I never thought
this movie is a completely original, one of a kind, Bourne Identity style that no other movie can.
It's Bourne Identity, but not. That's more Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked a lot about how, like, James Bond is the franchise that, like, sees what's popular in the movie world, and they just go like, let's do that. And they always do it, but like they do it worse, you know?
And then this does it like better.
This is the first case that it does it better. This is, in my opinion, much better than any of the fucking Bourne movies.
Well,
it's
yeah,
better
the
than
Bourne
Batman
movies
Begins, in my
All right,
opinion.
I can't go down that path.
Maybe. Yeah, there's an argument.
Oh, come on. This is better than Batman Begins.
No, Batman Begins had like a. We'll talk about it. Batman Begins has a cleaner storytelling structure for me.
Absolutely not.
Batman Begins has themes.
This does too. That's what's shocking about it.
I love Batman Begins, but I think I like Casino Royale more than Batman Begins.
I like Batman Begins as a movie more, but this may be possibly the greatest case ever of like
A reboot.
gritty reboot, like elevating and like transforming the character in such a drastic way.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, no. This is it like Hollywood learned all the wrong lessons from this movie because they're just like, oh, we have to grab what's good. Why don't we grab Superman and make him a murder man? And it's like, no, that's not like.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. Both Batman Begins and Casino Royale, their innovations was, you know how the previous movies just wasted time on boring bullcrap? Why don't we make them about the main character?
Yes.
And they did it. And it's like, oh, it's good.
Watching this movie was like, I'm not quite sure what gooning is, but I'm sure it's similar to that. Because I like...
Explain?
Well, I sort of like, watching these James Bond movies, I always kept going like, I want to watch Casino Royale. I want to watch Casino Royale. Like, this has me in the mood for Casino Royale. But I withheld, you know? I withheld from climaxing with Casino Royale. And then when I watched this, it was like a breath of fresh air.
Looking
It
up
was
the definition of gooning?
Maybe.
Gooning is what you do when you're jerking off to your Woodrow Wilson portrait.
Yeah, exactly.
You
It's
goon
that.
for Woodrow, he goons for Casino Royale. That's why they call us the Goonies. We're all gooning.
But yeah, no, just like watching this franchise and then like, you know, I gave Die Another Day a 10 out of 10, which I stand by. But then I watched this movie
As
and
a
I'm
joke?
like, no, for real. But then I watched this movie and I was like, oh my God, I forgot what a real movie looks like.
Yeah, that's why I can't get into so bad it's good movie watching, because I've seen so many people fall down this dark path of that bad movie was a good movie.
That was the best movie ever. Oh, wait.
No, well, here's the thing. It scratches different itches, you know? Casino Royale scratches the certain itch where you're trying to get into a character study of a British government assassin. And Die Another Day, a psychopath. And Die Another Day is watching a psychopath have fun as he fights a guy in a Buzz Lightyear suit.
No, see, Die Another Day, the only itch that scratches for me is when I'm getting hit in the balls by Matt Nicholson from NBC Scandal.
Well, that's what I think is brilliant about this movie, Jake, because the whole thing about like why people had been saying why James Bond is successful is they went like, oh, you just want to be James Bond. He's the coolest guy ever. And this movie is the first one that goes like, what if being James Bond is not cool? What if it's actually like really upsetting and sad? Like,
That's why Daniel Craig and Roger Moore are my two favorite James Bonds, because you don't want to be Daniel Craig or Roger Moore.
Well, Roger Moore you don't want to be because he's old, yeah.
But Daniel Craig is actually like, oh, maybe being a spy is like a bad life, you know?
It's the soul-killing job where if you just stay into it, you'll become this inhuman monster that we all know and love as James Bond. It's kind of like, actually, Troy, you always mention Mask of the Phantasm.
Yes, I watched it earlier today, because it may or may not be Valentine's Day and I'm alone. Anyway, continue.
Spoilers, but yeah, no, Batman Mask of the Phantasm also has kind of a similar thing of what Casino Royale is trying to do.
Absolutely.
Because Batman Mask of the Phantasm, it's just like there's a choice. Bruce Wayne is going down a path where he's going to become Batman, but then there's a fork in the road where he can either choose a life where he's happy and he's gotten over his trauma, or he becomes Batman. And he has to become Batman, and that is the most sad thing ever. And the same thing happens here with James Bond, where it's just like, okay, you have a choice to be a normal person or become this iconic figure.
Murder machine. No, and
this
it's actually
murder machine that we all know and love.
I don't want to spoil Better Call Saul, but that's kind of what happens, almost exactly the same as in Better Call Saul. Like, he has the choice of, like, living a good life with the person he loves, but then, like, a personal tragedy happens to him, so he just decides to, like, completely submerge himself into this, like, disgusting, sleazy character that is Saul Goodman as a way to, like, protect his own mind from his horrible life. This is this movie. It's like, he's like, he makes the James Bond persona at the end because it's the only way that he can protect himself from thinking about the horrible thing that happened to him.
I am going to offer a hot take, and I'm the only person who thinks this.
Sure.
I almost feel like Casino Royale is doing the opposite of the arc that is described, because like so many people say it's about how he becomes the monster James Bond. But whenever I watch this movie, I feel like he's a monster for the first hour of the movie.
No, I know that's the thing.
He starts as a psychopath already.
Somehow becoming James Bond is the healthiest response this guy has to this situation.
Well, I was actually going to say something similar to that. You're not the only one that thinks this, Troy, because...
Well, actually, I'm kind of getting to that as well with, because throughout most of the movie, he's still kind of the James Bond that we know, but, you know, he's a little bit more reckless, and he thinks about, like, when he kills somebody, it's not just, I had to kill someone and I'm done with it. It's like, oh, I have to ruminate on it, and I don't particularly like doing this thing. So there's a little bit of humanity in him.
In this movie
yeah, he's a psychopath. I agree with Troy.
If you just compare him from the beginning to the end, in the beginning, he is a machine.
Yes.
There's nothing behind
He's the Terminator.
He is the Terminator. And by the end, he has actually, I think it's tragic. And, you know, he does rededicate himself to, you know, being a secret agent. But I think the kind of nice thing is that his experience with Vesper actually does humanize him a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I actually see it a little bit different. I think it's like, it's the story of a man who's already like naturally like a psychopath. And then the thing with Vesper brings his humanity out a little bit. And then what happens with that is he goes like, okay, lesson learned. I will never feel any feelings again whatsoever. And that's the tragedy.
I'm more so on Jan's side. Yeah, it's just like throughout the movie, there's a glimmer of hope that he's more than just a guy who goes around killing people to save the world or to protect the British interest, to protect the crown.
Yeah.
There's a little bit, there's still a little bit like throughout. It's like, oh, there's something more. And then by the end of the movie, he's gone.
I think it is a key thing, though, and we're skipping, but, like, it's the way it's written, you know, that he doesn't get the information about Vesper and all that from a tape or whatever. He gets it from M. They have a conversation. He, like, calls her a bitch or whatever.
Bitch is dead.
And she says no.
Yeah.
You know, it was real, right?
I wanted to bring that up in sequence because, I think the book Casino Royale does tell about a man becoming a monster, and that's why the last line is, the bitch is dead. And in some ways you could argue the book James Bond is a monster, and Fleming almost feels that way about him.
All James Bonds are monsters.
Well, yeah, but then the Craig version, as Paul pointed out, the last line is not the bitch is dead, it's the bitch is dead. 007, she was a nice lady. She really loved you.
She protected you.
Cool.
She paid off your life.
I think M is the real villain in this, but we'll talk more about it.
I don't know if I like Judi Dench's M in the Craig era. That'll be my hot take. We'll talk about it.
I just want to say, it's kind of shocking that we've been talking about this for 30 minutes, and we've mostly been talking about themes and character, and not like, oh, he does the thing and it's funny.
It's always kind of self-evident when you have a discussion about a movie where it's like, that was kind of funny. Oh, that was kind of boring. That was kind of whatever. And then you're talking about like, I think what they were saying about this was really interesting. And you're like, whoa.
We've never had a conversation like this. Well, maybe Troy has, but not the rest of us.
By myself with Octopussy, I was talking.
But yeah, shall we get into the
Well, wait, I do want to
movie?
make two things. I don't know if we want to talk about the casting process right off, but I do want to point out
well, that's a big one.
Sure.
Well, wait, first off, by all accounts, they were trying to rip off Batman Begins, which came out in 2005, and this movie came out in 2006. So, oh my God, what was the turnaround on this movie? Jesus
It was
Christ.
a year. It was a year. They casted Daniel Craig in October of 2005. The movie came out November 17th, 2006.
Jesus.
And we gotta say that the casting for this, I was there. I remember it. Everyone fucking hated it. I don't know, like, I don't want to be that guy of like, I always liked Daniel Craig, but I kind of always, like, I kept
No,
hearing
you
people.
didn't. I don't believe you.
Well, people said like a blonde James Bond, and I was always like, Roger Moore was blonde. Like,
Well, towards the end of his career, he was blonde.
yeah, and they were like, he looks terrible, and I was like, Roger Moore looks terrible. But I see where the confusion came from, because this guy is not. I mean, he's very handsome in a sort of unconventional way, but he doesn't look like James Bond as we're used to.
He looks
more like
a henchman out to kill James Bond.
He looks like a henchman. He looks like a Polish plumber or something. Like, he's Slavic coded. You know what I mean?
He is
Like,
Slavic coded.
Which is often how he had been typecast up to that point, as like
Road to
scary,
Perdition.
like
yeah.
Munich?
Well, you watch Munich and you're like, this man is perfect for this version of James Bond, who's just like psychopath murder man who is using his country just as an excuse to kill people because he loves killing people.
I do think Daniel Craig is out of all the main Bond actors, he's the one who looks the most like Hoagie Carmichael.
For sure, yeah. And also Michael E. Newman from Mad Magazine.
That's important too. Also, it is
does
funny
kind of.
because I think part of it is just the way they introduced him. They did the press conference where he legally was obligated to wear a life jacket, and he had this really boyish.
Yeah. And the press was like, "This, look at Mr. Pussy Man.
He can't fucking swim. What a bitch."
And I was like, man, the Brits are awesome. They'll complain about anything.
I hear the people who set up Daniel Craig's press conference now work for the Biden administration.
Okay, I remember when Daniel Craig was cast as James Bond, because around when Casino Royale came out was the point where I started to go on IMDb, Movie Phone, and
It's the year that rotted your brain.
It's the year that Jake got active on the internet, and that's when the whole world got wet.
This is my coming of age of like looking at like movie news.
Yeah,
and
the
getting
year
into the
that
know
ruined
about
our
that.
lives and made us go to film school.
Please, you guys were all nerds reading about James Bond online. I was reading episode 3 fan theories like a gentleman. Did you know that Obi-Wan and Padme might have an affair, and he might be the real father of Luke and Leia? Much to think about.
I wasn't quite on that, but I remember when I went on IMDb, and for a while they used to have on Movie Phone, they used to have a fake Casino Royale poster in place of like, where the poster was, and it was like
It was like one of those awful fan-made posters with the Hulk.
Yeah, it's like Pierce Brosnan with Uma Thurman, and it's like Casino Royale. and I was just like excited for that. I'm like, all right, I'm excited for the new Bond movie. And then one day it changed, and it was
nothing has changed. We still scroll YouTube and we're like, oh, that looks interesting. It's just AI generated.
It's AI Moana 2, and she has a baby. You're like, what? Anyway.
Pregnant James Bond, like pregnant Pierce Brosnan. Casino Royale.
So when I saw Daniel Craig, I'm like, who the fuck is this? And I clicked on it because, I'm like 9 years old. I hadn't seen
no one knew
Munich
who
or
he
Layer
was.
Cake or Road to Perdition and stuff. I'm fucking 8 years old. I'm watching Death Wish or something.
Yeah, you're watching family entertainment.
Family
I was
entertainment.
gooning by that age.
You've been gooning from then up until now, Jan.
I looked at Daniel Craig's picture and I'm just like, oh my God, he looks like a hobo.
Yeah.
And I told my grandpa, I was like, because my grandpa was the one who got me into James Bond, and I showed him
God
the
damn
picture.
it.
I'm like, this
You
is
ruined
our
our
new
life.
James Bond. Is this just some guy? It's some dude. And he's just like, yeah, he looks like a bum.
He looks odd, but I mean, he's still more handsome than the entire Earth's population, basically. But
Yeah, no.
I mean, he got Rachel Weisz to leave Darren Aronofsky, the sexiest man to ever live.
I mean, Darren does get crazy pussy. I will.
Oh yeah, no.
I'll give him that.
Well, you know, because you just started talking about the Talmud, and you're cleaning up the parts.
Let me tell you about my interpretation of Job. Like,
Here's how the Kabbalah works and how it intersects with the Spanish Inquisition. Okay.
Damn it. So I was kind of not on board, and then the trailer started coming out. I'm like, okay, this looks good. I don't like the way he looks, but this could be good. And then
we're
I
back
got
to
see
Roger
it-
Moore territory.
Back to Roger Moore territory. I'm like,
It looks promising. I don't like. Something's wrong with his face, but it looks
It doesn't
like
look
I don't like
Pierce
I don't like his
Brosnan.
face, but this looks like it could be cool. And then I saw it opening weekend. I didn't see it opening day. And I was just like, I am a fucking idiot. This
Yeah, no,
guy's
I
amazing.
when I watched it, it blew my fucking mind. I was like, I was 12 and I was like, I had no idea that James Bond movies could be like movies, like real movies.
See, and I was like 12, and I'd be like, when's Epic Movie going to come out? I'm gonna watch
Well,
no dumb James
hold your
Bond
tongue,
movie.
mister.
There did seem to be some confusion about when Epic Movie came out, because some of our hosts seem to think that the parody of Casino Royale came out before Casino Royale.
I still maintain they did not see Casino Royale when
We
they
did
made that
an
thing.
administrative mistake where instead of watching Casino Royale, we watched Epic Movie. That mistake has been corrected.
we
We will be doing that next episode.
wait until next week when we talk about
Darko Belgrade's
movie.
iconic turn. Wait, can I say something? So 2 people, apparently there was a long list of names, but only 2 other people besides Daniel Craig were seriously considered to be in this movie. One was
Yes.
Pierce Brosnan. The other was a young
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
The other
the
other was a young Henry
Well, he's blonde.
Cavill. A young Henry Cavill who was said to be too overweight, according to him. He thought Martin Campbell thought he was too overweight. These 2 have 2 things in common. Both Pierce Brosnan and Henry Cavill were rejected to be in Casino Royale, and they were also in Black Adam.
The hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
Oh.
So Black Adam is the Casino Royale we could have gotten.
Yeah,
Oh no.
and much like in the Casino Royale process, Pierce is respectfully disposed of in the process of Black Adam and is allowed to go out with dignity. Well, Henry Cavill, they dangle the keys in front of him and then kick him to the curb.
That is the
Never to be
most
heard
like
from
no other actor has been done more dirty than Henry Cavill in Hollywood, bro.
Well, Pierce Brosnan, I think, is
Yeah, that's true.
well the story of Pierce Brosnan getting the phone call and going like, "Thank you very much, but we're done here. Bye."
Yeah, right after he gave them their 4 most successful movies ever.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like
Kind of sucks.
it's like I get it. You want to do a real movie, but god damn it. I love Pierce. He seems like such a nice
Yeah,
guy.
poor
His
Pierce.
Bond movies were so
Yeah.
much fun.
And I'm sure he would
Well,
have been
it's
really
kind
good in
of
this, but
an On Her Majesty's Secret Service situation where, is there a universe where he could have pulled it off? Maybe, but
it would have been
would it
different.
have served the franchise? Would you have been able to watch it and accept it?
Yeah, no, like I said, I think everything ended up working out
Yeah.
for what
Yeah.
kind of movie this is. Like the casting is perfect, the directing is perfect.
Now, this is ironic. I think Pierce, as an actor, could kind of do the Casino Royale story, but they couldn't do it as a prequel.
No.
I'm a young whippersnapper, like he's
A young
55.
whippersnapper who's never had his heart broken. Yeah, Vesper Lynn doesn't work if you've had a Paris Carver and an Electra King.
Yeah, no, that Bond would not take to such bullshit. He would not fall completely in love.
And the fact that this is the first mission for Bond as a 00 is not just like bait as like, you know, come see his first mission. Like, it is actually like crucial for the story here, you know? So everything ended up working out nicely. Can we talk about the movie?
Yeah, let's start the movie.
All right. This is the coolest opening to a movie ever.
Yes.
Well, first, the logos are in black and white, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Then it doesn't start with a gun barrel, and you're like, the fuck is going on? Did I walk into the right movie?
Quentin Tarantino is in the movie theater going, you hacks, you stole my fucking idea.
You fucking stole my idea. This is the 50. Oh, wait, no, that's a newer car. Never mind.
Oh, okay. It's all good. I'm going to go make the worst movie ever, Death Proof.
Oh, okay. In a weird twist of fate, I should also have brought this up beforehand with the Columbia thing. So MGM owned Casino Royale, but by the time they made Casino Royale, MGM was in bad financial shape. And who acquired majority shareholder over MGM?
Sony.
Kevin McClory?
Sony. No,
Kevin McClory didn't have the power.
Kevin. No, Sony acquired a majority shareholder stake in MGM. So it is a co-production between MGM and Columbia Pictures, even though Columbia did not own Casino Royale.
Yes, but we get some wonderful product placement because of it.
Less than Die Another Day, because critics call Die Another Day Buy Another Day.
But yeah, anyways, this is the best opening to any of these movies, bar none.
There's no gun barrel in the very beginning, and I am not upset.
No, it makes sense here. It makes sense in
and that's
this
saying
one.
something because
yeah, because Jake really likes his gun barrel.
Yeah, no, well, I get frustrated when this is like the trademark of your film series, and you keep not using it because you're embarrassed by it. I'm like, why are you embarrassed by your own fucking heritage?
Here's not embarrassment. Here it's like they want to give us also an origin to the gun barrel.
My whole thing is that, and I'll be beating this drum a lot this episode, is it's like, I am a guy who's like, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Like, we go to James Bond for James Bond, deliver us James Bond, unless you can do something better. And a lot of the times, this movie does something better, yes.
No, I mean, this first of all, it looks fucking gorgeous, the black and white. And this is the same cinematographer as the Smurfs, Beverly Hills Chihuahua, the Jackie Chan Around the World in 80 Days.
Oh my
Here
God,
comes the boom, and The Omen Part 3, and this movie looks gorgeous.
Yeah, we should mention, obviously, the return of Martin Campbell from GoldenEye.
Yeah.
In between GoldenEye, he had, of course, made a few other movies.
He made a few Zorro
Mask of
movies.
Zorro.
He made one good movie.
Are we sure that Martin Campbell came back to direct this movie? Because this doesn't look like any other Martin Campbell.
That's the thing. It's such a
that's
break.
the thing that's crazy. Yeah.
It's him, and it's that DP is his GoldenEye DP as well. So it's like somehow they're able to find something completely different. I was discussing with Jake, it's such a strong break, and yet it's all the house style people, it's all the family, except I think the only major person is the editor is new. He's like Richard Donner's
Well, the editor was new on Die Another Day anyway, so. But yeah, everyone else comes back. Peter Lamont is still production designing.
The fact that the people that made these are the same people that made Die Another Day is fucking astounding. And I also think, like, director for hire gets thrown around a lot as like a diss to a director, but I don't know, like, maybe it's because I've been working in commercials lately, but like directing, like when a client asks you to do different things in completely different styles, it's really hard. And Martin Campbell fucking hits it like out of the park. He's like, do this kind of movie, and he kills it. And they're like, now do this completely different kind of movie, and he kills it. Like,
now
he's
do
kind of
Green
great.
Lantern starring Ryan Reynolds and kills himself.
And he kills us, the audience. But yeah, we start not with James Bond, with like a random man, and this is like a classic fucking like spy novel, like Cold War-esque thing, where like we start with this guy, he's going in his office, he looks nervous, and then we hear,
Em really doesn't mind you earning a little money on the side, Dryden. She'd just prefer it if it wasn't selling secrets.
the camera pans, and Bond's just sitting there like a horror movie villain. Like, it's terrifying.
And he's sitting with his black trench coat.
He's not introduced with fanfare like Lazenby or Brosnan or anything. He's just sitting there like cold, terrifying, collected. You're like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, what I think is a genius decision for Craig, maybe he made this, maybe other creative team made this, is even in the book Casino Royale, Bond is still a little uneasy with what he's doing. Like, he's vomiting when people blow up. Like, the logical decision would be, oh, this is an origin story. He's like a fresh-faced, he's not into it. But in this opening scene, even though he's even though he's killing his first two people, he looks like he's been doing it his whole life. Like,
he loves it. He loves killing. Yeah. And also, like, you think like, oh, there's a pre-title. We're gonna get a cool like action sequence, right? And we kind of do, but the cool action sequence isn't like an elaborate set piece. Is him beating the shit out of some guy in a bathroom and like fucking like waterboarding.
Yeah, no, it's like a better version of like the torn curtain fight scene where it's just, you know, Hitchcock's view of like, oh, I want to do a murder scene where it's the most realistic thing and the person doesn't die, but it does even better than Hitchcock here.
Well, that's not a high bar.
Even better than a late period Alfred Hitchcock? What are you telling me? But yes, it's worth noting that this bathroom fight with the black and white and like the high grain and everything, it's not just a stylistic break. These are two different contrasting styles that are both unlike anything we've ever seen in this series.
And they both look great.
And they both work. And it's great to contrast the steely Bond with... it's the perfect introduction to the character.
And also at the end when, like, you know, the guy's like, made you feel it, did he? Don't worry. The second guy's like, Bond just shoots him, yeah. And then he goes like, yes, considerably.
You needn't worry. The second is... Yes. Considerably.
It's his first one-liner, but instead of us going like, ha, we go like, Jesus Christ.
Well, and also when he shoots the guy, when it does the whip pan, there's a split second where
the guy's
in the
family.
center frame,
This was
it's
the
his
first
family.
time I noticed this. I was like, I paused it and I was like, this movie's insane.
Yeah, no.
This movie knows that Bond is like a bad guy.
This is not your daddy's James Bond. This is a guy who will kill somebody in cold blood.
Well, and that's why I hate the latter two Craig movies that are like, Bond is actually like a hero and a good guy. I'm like, no, he's not. This movie very clearly showed us that he's a very bad person.
This is where he starts off, Jan. He has an arc.
Uh-oh. I don't like the sound of that.
I don't like the sound of an arc.
We'll discuss Daniel Craig's arc as we keep going.
But then we get
the gun barrel, the second coolest gun barrel after Die Another Day.
No, it's better. And this is the only gun barrel subversion that works, because the whole point of the gun barrel is to get you revved up for the adventure. And so they withheld a little bit, and then he's going to pee, and then whoop!
It's like Gooning. This is like Gooning, the movie.
And I actually, wait. I do want to point out the genius that because of the flashback structure, we see Bond's second kill first. But in that way, they still have the gun barrel be Bond's first kill.
I know, it's so cool.
It's
and
genius.
I also remember
it's like four-dimensional chess here. It's like, whoa.
When that gun barrel came out for the first time in the movie theater, I just remember like a huge fucking cheer. Like everyone was on board just with these first 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It was the Avengers Endgame of the time.
I know, but with like a real movie.
Now, back then
like it got people excited for being good, not just because like, oh my god, it's Captain Belly Button Lint from the comics.
Now we do it for references. Back when this movie came out, we did it for waterboarding and hunting terrorists.
And ironically,
and with
this is still technically a reference.
I know, but then we get the intro, the opening song, which is also just magnificent.
One of the best intro songs of all time.
There's some people that are like, I don't like this. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
There are people, Rolling Stone put it at 19 on like a list of songs, and it's like, shut up, Get out of here.
If it's not in your top 5,
ever
get the
written.
fuck out of here.
It's not only phenomenal, like it gets your blood pumping, but it's also like the lyrics are for ones actually like talking about the themes of the story.
We've had songs from the point of view of the Bond girls. We've had songs from the point of view of the villains. We've never had a song that switches point of view between M and James Bond. And this song, like, is the purest encapsulation of
This
what
song
it means
is like,
to be James
Are
Bond.
you ready to be a spy? Are you ready to die? Are you ready to have a shitty life and be like expendable and replaceable?
Yeah, I will replace you.
Yeah, like get ready to just be a fucking cog in the machine.
Yeah,
Are you ready to
You are an
die?
expendable killing machine, and slowly your soul will chip away with every single person you murder, and there
again,
will not be room to be a human anymore.
The visuals also thematically appropriate and they look incredible.
Yeah, the rotoscoping is great. With Bond fighting.
It's kind of
the
like
people.
going back to it's like Morris Bender, but also like combined with Soul Bass.
Well,
like
yeah,
it's
like,
fucking great.
I loved Shadows of Nude Women and stuff, but like, I will say this, like,
If this had a
Well, I
statue
go
of
back
Lenin,
and
it would be
forth.
the
Well,
best.
yeah, it would be the best.
That's the only
But-
thing that's missing.
Only thing that's missing. I'm still debating if this is my favorite Bond song, but this is hands down the best opening graphics. Like, there's not
probably,
even
yeah.
a contest.
And this is our boy
here.
Daniel Kleinman, who's done
Yeah.
the past 4 Bond movies.
Yeah, it's like they had this in them all along, but it's like it's what you know, but also this is again an example where it's like we've never seen anything like this before. There are no women at all.
Yeah. There are no women.
There's
It is
only
purely
one shot of
Bond
Vesper.
murdering people.
Yeah, you get a shot
Yeah,
of
there's a shot of Vesper, and like the closest thing you get to dancing naked women is a fucking queen on a deck of cards. That's all you get.
Yeah, it's just almost entirely just like rotoscope Daniel Craig murdering people. That's the title sequence, which is not what the title sequence has been.
I like
Yeah.
Daniel Craig too, Jake, but I don't know if I would call him a queen. Like he's
Yes, queen. You know, one thing that always kind of I thought was funny is at the end of the title sequence when he's walking, he's like the Ralph Bakshi version of himself, the silhouette. And
Yeah.
He's walking into the light, and then it goes in for a close up.
that's terrifying. That,
Yeah.
you know my name, and he's like getting closer
his
to
face
you.
is squashed. Is that what you're gonna say?
Here's the thing. His face is squashed, and he kind of looks like Tom Hanks right there.
Oh God, it's Tom Hanks. He has a
That's
gun.
terrifying. No, but yeah, also like he has those like White Walker eyes. I'm like,
Yeah.
this man, there's something's like not there, you know, like
I complain about the use of the CGI in the Brosnan opening credits a bit. This opening has like the perfect knowledge of where graphics were at that time, and it still looks great. How everyone's like a polygon animated version of themselves. Like it still
Yeah.
looks very stylish without looking dated.
They're all made out of like diamonds and spades and stuff.
I realize also I'm like that they totally must have looked at this for the title sequence for Mad Men, which was a year later.
oh, for
yeah.
sure, yeah. No, actually, like there's a bunch of Bond openings that I'm like, oh, Mad Men totally ripped this off. But anyway, like A plus opening, A plus opening sequence and
Oh yeah,
credits.
the song it completely takes Live and Let Die's crown away for being the best fast-paced Bond song, and I think that's its genius. Is the lyrics are so depressing, but it never slows down, unlike certain other songs
No,
we've
it's
discussed on this
it's
podcast.
perfectly to fuck off with Tomorrow Never
It's not Tomorrow Never Dies.
That's a good song.
Tomorrow
No,
Never
but
Dies isn't fit to eat this
I think
song.
this song like encapsulates perfectly what this movie is. It's like it's a thrill ride, but if you like stop and like listen to what it's saying, it's actually quite sad, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we cut to Uganda.
And Joseph Kony's up to some nonsense.
Yeah, we get our introduction to our lead villain, Lashif, played by Mads Mikkelsen, in his first villain role in a major franchise, which he keeps on doing for the rest of his career.
And
basically.
he is one of the best actors working right now.
Who was he in the 2004 King Arthur?
Who cares? He
He was one of the knights.
He is one of the best actors working right now, and I must say,
Yeah.
like, this was my first introduction to him. Like most Western well, he is from a Western country, but like
but
most American
his first
audience.
English language film.
Yeah. And I thought he was magnificent as this, and I still think that this is one of his best roles. I think this is my favorite Bond villain.
All right, I've got a hot
Whoa.
take here. I've seen Peter Lorre play Le Chiffre. I've seen Orson Welles play Le Chiffre. I've seen Mads Mikkelsen play Le Chiffre. I don't think Le Chiffre is a particularly interesting character.
Fuck off. This is a great villain.
He's
This
kind
is
of
a
an
great
anticlimax.
fucking villain.
He's like the
I
third
don't think he's
henchman
my
to a villain.
favorite. It like in a series that gave us Goldfinger, fucking
Gert?
Doctor No,
Gert is better than
Ern Stavro
Mads Mikkelsen?
Elliot
Blofeld.
Carver, the one we all agreed was the best a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Elliot Carver.
Oh, Elliot
Gustav
Carver,
Graves.
yeah.
Elliot
great.
Carver, I think, is a close second. But, you got two different kinds of it. You got your crazy ones like Elliot Carver, then you have your more serious ones. This is by far the best of the serious ones. Like, come on. Like,
Well, sure.
Well, if you're comparing him to Dominic Green, then yeah.
well, I'm not.
Well,
I'm
no,
not.
but this is my point. I actually think the Craig version really struggled with its villains because of the era of Hollywood it was made in. Like when Casino Royale came out, and I think it's actually part of the trend, right? Is people felt like 90s movies focused too much on the villains. So now the villains have to be
Are
serving
underplayed.
are more underplayed, and they have to serve the character stories, and usually they're tied to a twist. Like there's never a final showdown between the hero
No, I
and the
totally
villain.
agree with you, but I feel like it's super appropriate here because here, like I said,
Yeah, it
the
works for
main
this movie.
the main villain of this movie is not really Le Chiffre. It's M. You know,
I can't go down this path.
M is the one that tells him at the beginning of this movie, like, I want you to just get rid of your emotions, think of everything coldly and critically, and just strip your humanity away just so that you're the perfect murder machine for me. Le Chiffre is more of a,
He's a foil to Bond because he's the only one who's actually better at gambling than Bond is.
Yes, and he strikes this perfect balance of being like really intimidating and scary, but also being kind of like a pathetic bitch, and you kind of feel
Well,
bad
that's the
for
thing.
him.
I think at points he's too pathetic for me. Again, he's good. I don't hate him. But, like, come on, when James Bond literally has to rescue you from getting attacked in your hotel room, and then James Bond doesn't even... Like,
That's
he's
what's so great
so
about it.
tossed around.
It's like he's just a fucking like he's their accountant. He's the terrorist accountant, and he's just like and like when they're gonna chop his girlfriend's arm, you're like, oh no, I feel kind of bad for this guy.
I think my favorite Le Chiffre remains Peter Lorre. I think
Oh,
he's
come
the
on.
most menacing of the Le Chiffres.
From that one TV special no one's ever watched.
Well, Peter Lorre's like he reminds me a lot of how Le Chiffre is described in the book.
Yeah, he's the book
But-
Le Chiffre. who's a
Like
little
if you
more
want like a
intimidating.
closer adaptation to book Le Chiffre, probably Peter Lorre is more accurate, but Mads Mikkelsen is
Milk and
freaking yeah,
He needs some milk.
Milkmanson.
Milkman's son.
Matt's milky.
Matt's Milky Milkers.
No, but I think this villain fucking hit. I think the performance really elevated. Like I think he's incredible in this. With like not showy, but like still just
No, that's
carrying
the
a
thing. Like,
presence.
if anything, like the way this movie's conceived, they're dark, they're serious. I mean, there's a solid 45 minutes where they're just sitting at a table, staring at each other and frowning. And
The best
you
part of the
need
movie.
good actors
Yeah.
to make that work. I mean,
Yeah.
because there were much worse
And
versions
also-
of this in the years that followed.
This introduction is great because the first thing that we see him do is betting all of his money against the stock market.
Yeah.
And you're immediately like, okay, this guy is a gambling addict. He's reckless. You
It's
know?
not that he's just betting against the stock market, he's betting against a plane. Like a
Yeah.
very expensive luxury like 3-story plane to blow up. And he's like, well, I could just hire terrorists to blow it up and
Again,
make a bunch
the
of money.
9/11 James Bond movie.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how in the post 9/11 world, because that was the thing for the Brosnan year, and before it is that Bond was always conceived of as a state actor. On some level, he's operating against people who are hoping to topple states or countries or what have you. But then after 9/11, it's like evil has become like more nebulous, like independent organizations.
Well, it's always been nebulous organizations, though.
No, but I like in this one how it's like our main bad guy's not even like a main bad guy when an evil plan. He's just like a middleman in something
he's just
bigger.
operating in the world of counter-espionage. And again, the whole point of the movie is MI6 wants Lashif to come work for them.
Yeah, well, they just need, they're like, well, he's up to no good and he has all this terrorist money, so he knows a lot of shit that could be useful. We need to make him desperate enough so he can come in and work for us.
All right, I guess we are kind of hopping around, but I guess I'll bring it up now. Is this movie saying that Lashif did 9/11?
Yes.
Yeah. They're saying that, like, maybe not him specifically, but people like Lashif.
Like, no, well, he was definitely aware of 9/11 because that's how, like, he got on their radar, right? Was he shorted all the airline stocks.
When they analysed the stock market after 9/11, the CIA discovered a massive shorting of airline stocks. When the stocks hit bottom on 9/12, somebody made a fortune.
Oh, wait, yeah,
Around
you're right.
9/11. Yeah.
So you're saying like
actually, you're right, yeah.
Right before 9/11, Osama bin Laden called his accountant and he was like, bet against the stock market now.
Or Mads Mikkelsen, because he's an agent of Quantum / Spectre. He's just like, apparently Al-Qaeda is planning something big on September 11th.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Spectre did 9/11, confirmed. But anyway, then we cut to Madagascar, to our first action sequence.
Ricky Tikki Taffy!
Yeah.
We got a ferret fighting a cobra!
The mighty mongoose versus the cobra. That is the only part in the movie that I'm like, this is Roger Moore tier of just like that fake mongoose, like,
They're gonna fight. And Roger Moore has James Bond. I mean
Roger Moore, he's back.
Roger Moore is back, and he's like, put your hand down. You're holding your hand too close to your ear, you dumb idiot.
oh yeah, no, I again, a great way to introduce like this Bond is no nonsense. He's like, put your fucking hand down.
Stop touching your ear.
Sorry, put your hand down.
And then that guy, like, they're scoping out a terrorist who gets his own special title card in the opening credits, free running stunts by this guy.
Well, yeah, because he's the inventor of parkour, this guy.
Oh, yeah, the inventor of Sebastian Fourcon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know why a bomb maker would be a parkour expert, but it sure looks cool.
Well, when you're blowing things up, you got to run on the walls to get away from blowing
this
up.
action sequence is like one of the best action sequences in a movie.
I love how the guy gets like thrown to Cobra at the beginning of it. Like Bond has a friend, he's like, whoa! And then he just gets eaten.
I mean, the action in this is so tightly shot, so tightly edited. You can follow what's going on. There's not a single wasted second.
Well, Paul and I were talking about this the other day. It's funny because you're looking at like some parts in GoldenEye and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, you're like, it could have been tighter
you
here.
know, like the satellite bit or whatever. It's like, it's maybe a little tight, a little choppy, but here it's somehow they managed to make you feel every single thing. Every jump. You're like, oh my God. You know?
Every punch you feel it.
There's so many
hurts.
establishing shots when they're climbing up the crane just to get like, oh, they are like hundreds of feet up in the air. And then when they do the jump, they have like the wide shot where it's just like, okay, this is how far he jumped. And this is where he's landing. And this is where he's going to onto the building. And then when Bond does it, we get that wide shot of him jumping. And then it cuts in as he's fucking hits his head on
and
the
what
bars.
I love about this action scene is that it's not just action for the sake of action. It's actually like showing you how this character operates. And this is when you're either in with this new James Bond or out, because they're showing you like the bad guy's like doing parkour all stylishly, all elegantly. And then James Bond is just fucking bursting through walls like the Kool-Aid
my God,
man.
when he goes through the wall, that's crazy.
Completely Terminator mode. I'm a killer.
Yeah, waiting to murder everyone with his bulldozer.
Yeah.
He is completely focused on just murdering this man, like at all costs.
And because that's the right thing to do. That's the key, is that like he will stop at nothing to get the job done. Not even if the guy escapes into an embassy, he will storm into an embassy, beat up and shoot everybody and blow it up.
He's not making jokes with VJ. He's just like, you know, I'm gonna kill this man.
It's funny, Jake, you say do the job because M very much clearly states he messed up the job. The job was to get him alive.
Yeah.
But then he's just like, eh.
No, but he's also petty about it because he gets caught at the end with the guy because he's just going in there to apprehend him. But then he just figures, well, if I can't apprehend him, I'll just fucking shoot him.
No, that's what's great. It's like, this movie is a movie that says, like, anyone who has a license to kill is probably a psychopath. And that's exactly this. It's like, James Bond is like, I have a license to kill. Might as well murder him because I love murdering. And M is like, you love murdering, and I understand. That's why we hired you. But you gotta murder in a way that makes sense, you know?
Like, M is like, again, this is not small. Oh, I'm a little small James Bond. When am I supposed to kill people? He's like, I'll blow up the embassy. I'll make the call. And we've established, I do think this is weird, but also important, that he's basically caught on camera shooting this guy, and everyone immediately knows he's a British agent. And for me, it's never really explained to me why they know he's a British agent, but they don't know who he is, James Bond. He's not this guy who's walking into MI6 like every day.
Well, this is a new timeline where possibly James Bond is not famous and has a franchise with merchandise yet.
But it's still following the proud tradition of Bond just being the worst spy ever. And I think in Quantum of Solace is very much M just constantly being like, James Bond, you're the worst spy we've ever had.
Well, yeah, this,
you know?
this first movie goes out of its way. He's giving people his real name, and they're like, you're not supposed to do that. And he's like, I already did.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because they already know who I am.
It's great.
Again, well, just one of the many things where the origin story opens up all these other possibilities for ways to like go different or to improve, whatever you want, to keep things that are part of the trope, but they're reframed, you know?
Yeah.
So you can do all the stuff, but you can say, well, no, that's not supposed to happen, you know? Maybe it'll be different next time.
Again, the thesis of this movie is like, James Bond is actually bad. Yeah.
Well, it is the tragedy of how this guy who has a chance to not be a bad guy and not be like this inhuman monster. How does he get to be that inhuman monster anyway? When there's still
but I think it's also worth noting in contrast to, because him and Piers can both operate like a machine, but you get the sense that like when he decides to kill the guy or blow it up, it's more like he's not accepting failure as opposed to like, I just get such a high off of killing. Maybe he does, but like you don't get the sense that he's like enjoying it.
Yes, Pierce is enjoying everything, and that makes it more ominous. While Daniel Craig, even at the beginning here, when he's a tank, he still seems angry that he has to be a tank.
Yeah, that's what makes this guy interesting, is like he wants to murder everyone, but he doesn't like it.
He's an addict.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's the chance of him not being that way because, it's still kind of a human side of him, which gives him like the edge of like wanting to burst into that embassy,
like the Kool-Aid man,
and murder the man.
I would argue though that in some ways the first hour of this movie, he is so inhuman that's what makes Vesper work so well. Is you can kind of see how this could be a human, but this guy's like a razor's edge away from like shooting M in her own bedroom.
Well,
like,
I told you, no, and I've always found it like really amusing since the first time I saw it. Like the next scene, he's like on his laptop, and you're like, oh, I guess he's on his apartment, and then like M comes in, and you're like, oh my god, he just broke into M's apartment. This guy's crazy.
He just does that. And it's also worth noting that like he's so cold and psychotic that they have to flip M around because with Brosnan, M was completely ice cold. Now she's the one where it's like, come on, Bond, what are you lighten up? What are you doing? You know?
No. Now she's gone from I will leave you in North Korea and I'm disappointed you came back alive to Bond, calm down.
Like I've said, why I think M and just the entire MI6 apparatus are really the villains for this story is like M doesn't tell James Bond like, oh, you should stop killing, she just goes like, it's good that you're killing. You just got to do it more like with even less emotion.
Well, you need to kill that human part of it. Basically, she tells him, you need to kill that human part of you that made you want to have justice for getting that bomb maker inside that embassy. It's like, I'm glad that you want to do it, but there are international laws that you need to follow.
Yeah.
And international,
like, this is bad because it's going to
do.
come back to bite me in the ass, you know?
That's where Jake and I differ, is Jake hears, oh, you shouldn't kill that guy in such a violent and overtop way. Why is she wanting him to take out his humanity? It's like,
wait, but she is. She objectively is.
No. I feel M is trying to give him an outlet for it because he would do it anyway.
I don't think she's just telling him to take away his humanity, because I think she wants him to be the perfect instrument, which doesn't necessarily mean, because like when the wife of Demetrios is dead, she uses that. It's like, isn't this horrible? You shouldn't have fucked with her, right? It's not like, it's like, you don't even care. What's wrong with you, Bond? You don't even care.
No, but in this scene, she literally says, I want you to take all emotion out of the equation and just do the job.
This may be too much for a blunt instrument to understand, but arrogance and self-awareness seldom go hand in hand.
So you want me to be half monk, half hitman?
Any thug can kill. I want you to take your ego out of the equation and to judge the situation dispassionately.
Well, yeah, she says that, but M has an arc.
Whoa,
where as the movie goes on, I know multiple characters have arcs in this movie. Where M, that's the thing. At the beginning, M's like, "Oh, he sucks. I should give him over to the British government. I should just get rid of him." But then, as the movie goes on, she does form this weird caring about him thing, where she's like putting a microchip in him to be like, just in case you don't hurt yourself.
No, wrong.
Bob.
She's like doing like, and we see this back in Skyfall. Like, she's really just like manipulating him, being this like maternal figure, so that she's basically molding him into just doing her bidding and the British government's bidding.
But the thing is, he would just be a terrorist if he wasn't doing her bidding. She's giving him a constructive
Yeah, exactly. That's
outlet.
what this movie's saying. That maybe being a terrorist and being a crazy psychopath MI6 agent is not that different.
Well, yeah, it's saying that, but then it makes it looking healthy because this is still a multi-million-dollar franchise. And you're never going to have a James Bond movie or a Batman movie or any movie.
I'm not sure how healthy. Like, I don't come out of this movie going like, hell yeah.
Well, we'll get to the ending, but I would argue the final scene is very much structured to get you going. Hell yeah!
It's not really a hell yeah, more like a hell yeah.
It's kind of having its cake and eat it, but I think it works in this one.
Well, yeah, exactly. But because it is having its cake, it's hard for me to buy into the idea.
But to the point of like the relationship with them, I think there is something to it, Troy. I don't know if her arc is that she's genuinely warming up to Bond.
No, it's not that.
That she goes from skeptical that he even like deserved to be a 00 to I can keep him in line. Like she's figured out how to keep him in line by the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like he's like, okay, this is a psychopath. I just have to like channel the psychopathy.
I guess where I differ is I don't see that as a bad or sinister or villainous goal.
Well, if she was just like his therapist or something, and it's like, well, you're a psychopath. Like,
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, in a story that which main theme is about like the loss of humanity, and then there's this character like urging this loss of humanity, then.
But I feel he's already gone at the beginning. He's already killed all these people in the first 20 minutes.
No, but like are you listening to me? Like, it's basically like he is a psychopath murderer and M is just like trying to turn that raw psychopathy into a tool for the British government.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's move on.
Well, you could also say that it's the tragedy of becoming these morally ambiguous anti-heroes that we come to know and love, and if you're looking at it through the meta-textual commentary. I more so take of it like that. It's just like with the creation of this hero that we all have watched over the course of 40 years, the result of that is this personal tragedy where we completely participating in the dehumanization of this guy.
No Time to Die Inspector, But again,
But No Time to Die hasn't come out
movies-
yet. What are you talking about?
I know, but I saw a pre-copy. We established this in an earlier episode.
This is the rebooted franchise.
Yeah, the
So-
arc of the rebooted, the arc of the rebooted franchise. Like, that's the thing, is like, it'd be cool if the Broccolis did have a moment where you walk out of a James Bond movie going, oh, this guy sucks. But I don't think they can bring themselves to doing that. And even
Nor
Skyfall-
should they. I honestly think no.
I think they did it with this one.
I don't think so. I don't think it's less like I am cold and disgusted. It's more so like, yeah, he's James Bond, but oh no, we've lost James Bond, the person.
Yeah,
as a
it's
result
like
of this.
that's what's it's that tension of like he turned into the coolest guy ever, but at what cost? You know?
Yeah. It's like how the TV spots back in 2006 said it. They're like, in the TV spots, they're just like, discover how James became Bond.
Discover how James became Bond.
Oh, that's silly, but I love it.
I'll say I actually think that M is just angry at Bond in this because he's blonde. I'll say it. I think she's being racist.
M hates James Bond because he's English in this movie. This is anti-English discrimination. And as someone who is
Scottish, get the fuck
25% English, how dare they?
You
How
goddamn
dare they.
eat night, get out of here.
Also, a key point I noted in there, his first kind of conversation with M, there's like a kind of a sequence of scenes. He keeps bringing up that 00s have a short lifespan, almost like he is not just willing to die, he kind of doesn't care. Like he has a death wish.
Correct.
I
Yeah.
think that's an element that's
No, for
threaded
sure.
in there, and that's different by the end of the movie.
Because they allude to like his childhood a little bit in this, like in that conversation he has with Vesper, and he's basically like, yeah, they're like, he's basically like a husk of a man, and he has very little to live for until he meets
and
Vesper.
I guess, I mean, we'll get to, we should talk about the rest of the movie because I feel the rest of the movie shows this out. But yes, that's the thing. This movie is about a husk of a man who is given a way to cope with being alive, and the way to cope is to become James Bond.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
There you go. Okay, so
All right.
are we allowed to talk about the Bahamas?
Are we
Yeah, let's
already-
talk about the Bahamas.
Are we already at the Bahamas? Yeah, I guess he hasn't hacked into M's bedroom.
No, he has. We already talked.
Oh.
We talked about it. We
And her
just spent
husband
like a
is
half an
like
hour
in-
talking about it.
No, but he hacks into her house. But then there's also another time where M's in her bed with her husband. And it's like,
Yeah, that's in the Bahamas.
007, he's hacked my mainframe.
Right, right. That's
again,
when he's in
ano-
his beach house. Yeah.
Another
Oh, okay.
Mandela effect that I am sure the scene exists somewhere, but I vividly remember the first time I watched this, it was M porking her husband.
No.
She wasn't sleeping.
No, you didn't. I don't believe you.
Yes, didn't.
Every
I swear
James
to
Bond
God.
movie you saw as a child was a full hardcore cut.
There was full penetration,
It was
but it's
full
Judi Dench.
penetration. We saw her silver badge.
Jesus Christ.
No,
No.
it didn't
Guys.
happen, Dan. It's false.
Guys, I swear to God, if Dame Judi Dench dies the week this episode comes out.
Oh, no.
No, she's never gonna die.
Okay, so he's in the Bahamas.
There's no time to die.
There's a bit which maybe is like a jab at Daniel Craig looks like a henchman because they're like, he must be the valet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you know
And
what's
it's
also crazy?
Goldfinger.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. Is like, and it's weird because there are people, not that many people online, but when I first saw it, I'm like, that's totally Goldfinger,
That's
right?
I said the same thing. I'm like, that's Goldfinger, yeah. And his car is gold.
And his car is gold, and apparently somebody looked at his license plate, and it's the RGB code for gold.
So there you
the
go.
Computer, apparently.
That's Goldfinger. He looks like Newman from Seinfeld. He's Goldfinger. Case closed.
Yeah, and he has the same voice. Are you going to take this or make me wait?
Are you going to take this or make me wait?
Yeah. And then he starts rapping. He goes,
Because again, much like the 1967 Casino Royale, everyone wants to adapt this book, but there seems to be a consensus feeling there is not enough book to adapt. So the first hour of this movie is
Well, it's not that there's not enough book to adapt. It's just, it's when you're making a series of action movies and
you
you're
adapt
the
a
21st
book
movie
that's not
in this
action.
series.
Yeah.
Most of it is not action heavy. Like the most exciting thing that happens in the Casino Royale novel is that a bomb goes off and he gets out of a guy with a cane gun, like pointed at his back, by falling out of his chair. Those are the most exciting set pieces.
Also that he gets his balls destroyed with a carpet
And he gets his
beater.
balls destroyed and he wrecks his Bentley. That's it.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting if you ask me. I was glued to the page.
It's exciting in the book, but when you're making the 21st James Bond movie, Troy, I think I know what you're going to say, but this movie makes the same choice as the 1967 movie, where the first 45 minutes or so is set up as to how Lashif got into his bind, and also connect that with James Bond.
Which is to say that I spend the first hour of this movie every time I watch it going, where's this going? Like, it feels really aimless to me every time I watch it. It's well done,
very,
but I'm like,
it's
what's
very
the cause and
purposeful.
effect here?
Vibes.
It's vibe cinema.
Every single thing comes back, I think, like in a way that's important.
Well, he goes after the bomb maker. The bomb maker leads him to Demetrios.
How does the bomb maker lead him to Demetrios? Because of ellipsis? What's ellipsis?
Does ellipsis mean anything to you?
Ellipsis is the code to get into the airplane or the terminal.
So why did he have to go to the Bahamas to go to Miami?
Because the guy is there, yeah.
Yeah, because he tracked down the text and it came from the Bahamas.
I will say, because it sounds like I'm kind of dragging this part of the movie. What I do like about this movie still is, even though this movie is a deconstruction of James Bond, they know well enough that you still have to have a travel log element. Like, you still have to see him go to all these different places, which you wouldn't get if you adapted the book.
Yeah, it's the best of both worlds, of the movie Bond and the
Well,
book
yeah,
Bond.
and this sequence, I mean, establishes many essential items. The most important being, Jake, I think, was it Dalton that used a Laserdisc player? And now Craig is using a Blu-ray, brand new Blu-ray system.
Brand new Sony licensed Blu-ray.
Sony licensed
Blu-ray
system. He's on a Vio. Lashif is on a Vio.
Yes, very prominently displayed.
Everybody has Sony Ericssons.
He's got an Ericsson, but didn't Brosnan have an Ericsson also? I think he did.
Yeah.
Probably.
Anyway, but slightly more relevant, we do the ogling emerge from the waves, but it's with Craig.
Well, you say that, but we have it with Lashif's girlfriend, too, so it's equal opportunity.
Well, she's on a horse, so that's different.
No, that's the wife of Demetrios. I'm talking about Lashif's girlfriend.
But she's
getting
coming
on
out
the
of the
boat.
water in profile into a boat. He's actually coming out full frontal. We see his cock, you know.
Jan,
Yeah,
you saw
exactly.
a different
Full
cut.
frontal.
We see he's hung as fuck. And again, I've complained a lot in this podcast and in my life about like this stupid new trend that like every action hero needs to be ripped as fuck. Like every Marvel star is like getting pumped with steroids.
Jan,
like
you
fucking.
have never complained about this to me.
Well, I complain about this to the mirror every morning.
She's just like everybody is ripped. Why does everybody need to be ripped?
Why does everybody look ripped? But it's annoying, but I think it works here.
Yeah, because he's a tank. He went through a wall.
Yeah, exactly. That's what, like, it works for this character. It doesn't work for like Paul Rudd in the Ant-Man movie. You know what I mean?
I mean, his superpower there is to get
Like-
tiny. I don't understand why he's ripped.
And it's kind of funny because that's never really been a defining feature of James Bond is that he's ripped.
Has anyone ever done a version of Ant-Man where, like, again, it's like the kind of movie Jan would watch, and he's about to get intimate with the Wasp, and like he gets excited, but it like goes the other way. You know, like it doesn't get bigger, it gets smaller. Anyway, continue.
Wait,
No.
what do I like that kind of movie where like his...
Well, you know, where like
Well,
they
no,
show-
she's talking about you just hallucinate that every movie has full penetration in it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then if Ant-Man and the Wasp had full penetration, it would be my favorite Marvel
but it's so
movie.
tiny
yes.
that you can't see it.
I was genuinely disappointed in Avengers Endgame that Ant-Man did not crawl up Thanos' urethra. And
Yeah, and
Well,
just-
that's why we got the boys to do that. So
exactly.
Did I
and
tell you
like
guys
that show.
the last time I went on Disney Cruise, I had the Marvel dining experience, and they make Ant-Man, they make Paul Rudd
they
say,
make Batman crawl into your urethra.
yeah, they do while you're eating, and then you see Paul Rudd.
Ant-Man is massaging your prostate.
Bob Iger's like, Disney's losing money. We need something in our cruise line to bring people in.
I got COVID from that. Anyway,
Okay, well, I was gonna say he encounters Demetrios.
We get our first game.
The first, yes, gambling sequence.
Yeah.
So that's significant. So
Yeah.
because this is a movie where you're actually, it's very important that you actually follow what they're doing.
Yeah, and he wins the Aston Martin, which is like...
Yeah, the 1964 Aston Martin.
Yeah, the DB5, which is like, you know, they didn't announce this movie as like a full reboot. So at this point, we're still like... Is this like a prequel or like something different?
I think they sold it as a prequel.
They did. It's kind of like the Batman Begins thing. When I was a kid, there weren't reboots like this where it was like complete clean slate. So you're just like, so wait a minute, is this how he got the Aston Martin?
That's what I always assume.
Batman Begins, where you're just like, wait, takes place right before he fights the Joker.
Yeah.
And Jack Nicholson's the Joker.
I make the point that people didn't get what a reboot was until 2008 when you had The Dark Knight be like, he's fighting the Joker again for the first time, and you had the Incredible Hulk make a new origin for Hulk. Because before that, Jack Nicholson was like mad he wasn't invited back for The Dark Knight. He's like...
And also Mamma Mia, which rebooted my life. It made it significantly worse.
Well,
but then Mamma Mia 2 made it better.
Because they kept Pierce
Yes.
for that. Imagine being Pierce Brosnan. It's like, they don't want you for Casino Royale, but can you sing ABBA? And he'll be like, I'll try. SOS.
We're gonna get the voices of the angels. We're gonna get Colin Firth, Stellan Skarsgård, and Pierce fucking Brosnan to sing ABBA.
All right, I'm gonna pitch something that just occurred to me. Colin Firth is Lashif. Discuss.
No, that'd be cool.
Yeah, you
That'd be
probably
cool.
could do it. Colin Firth as a Bond villain would rip. Did you know Colin Firth was supposed to play Paddington?
Yes.
But they only kept in one line of him as Paddington in the final movie where he's like, "Are you there, God?"
Casino Royale is a 2006 movie.
Yeah, so Casino Royale. So he picks up Demetrios's wife because he's now the proud owner of the beautiful 1964 Aston Martin.
Because it's time for us to establish that James Bond bangs.
He bangs
Yes.
married women.
Married women. He's
Because
very
they're
good.
easy.
But does he?
But actually not in the movie.
Yeah.
And this poor woman, she's like, "Oh, I always fall for bad boys, but why not good boys? And why can't they be more
Because
like
then
you?"
they'd be
And I'm
bad.
like, "You're marked for death."
Okay, can I talk about this?
No.
Everybody, we've been talking a lot about how Daniel Craig is no nonsense. And a lot of people talk about how, like, Daniel Craig is a no nonsense James Bond. He is the funniest motherfucker in these movies.
Oh, he's hilarious.
He is
Yeah, he's great.
so dry. Like, just the way he delivers because then they'd be bad.
Why can't nice guys be more like you?
Because then they'd be bad.
Like, he has the best, like, sardonic lines.
He's a very funny man in real life. And also, like, I think if you watch Quantum of Solace, you're like, okay, yeah, pretty much most of the Craig movies after this one took the wrong lessons with this because they're like, okay, people like this James Bond because he's serious all the time. And it's like, no, we
he's
like
still
him.
funny. He's still funny throughout the movies.
That's
in
what I'm
my
saying.
opinion.
It's like, no, it's like we like him because he's an interesting character and a good actor, but he's still really funny in it.
He's had the best comedic career out of all the James Bonds, like outside of the franchise. Like, he is by hands down the funniest actor to play 007.
Pierce Brosnan's pretty funny too.
I love Pierce, but let's be honest about his comedy is because he's good looking and he can pretend to be stupid.
Well, it's funny
Yeah,
because
exactly.
he's Pierce, and being Pierce is absurd.
Have you
Yeah.
seen Mamma
Yes.
Mia? I was crying. Not from laughter, just
I was gonna say,
crying.
Pierce Brosnan is the saddest character in both Mamma Mia movies. In the second one, he's just looking at Meryl Streep, just being SOS.
Well, I like him in Mrs. Doubtfire. He's funny in that.
Someone needs to edit him singing SOS, but instead of looking at Meryl Streep, he's looking at Daniel Craig.
No, Daniel Craig has the funniest. He's the funniest guy in the Star Wars sequel movies, and he's in them for like 5 seconds. When he like looks at the room where Rey is as a stormtrooper, and then he's like, "Nope," and then he like turns around. That's great.
And I'll drop my
Yeah.
weapon.
No, he's got the
And
zingers down. And honestly, like, it's not I mean, if we're dropping the bit because this is the rebooted continuity of the podcast. No Time to Die, not a movie that I love, but I think Craig is really good at the more one-linery kind of Bond.
Jan, don't.
What are you talking about?
Don't tell Jake we didn't get him a screener. He doesn't know what's going to happen in No Time to Die.
What are you talking about?
Fuck,
what are you talking about? He's funny?
This. So James Bond drops a fucking killer line here. He's like, bring me champagne and caviar. The lady's like, for 2. He's like, no, for 1.
For 1.
Can I get a bottle of chilled Bollinger Condamné and the beluga caviar? No, for 1.
Oh, shit. And then he leaves.
Yeah.
And then they go into the body museum, and Demetrios is there, and they have a little knife fight.
Why did they decide to set it at the bottom? Is it like some stupid, like, we're all dead men walking?
Yeah,
because
that's
like,
so great symbolism.
They're like
it's
playing
the Valley
poker,
of
the
Death.
corpses.
It's much like when James Bond and Anya go to the Egyptian tomb in the
No.
James Bond is descending
I'm
into
the fuck
underworld.
All right, so
he is
Jan
descending
is
into the
left.
Valley of Death to kill again. Oh, and by the by, when they do the Saving Private Ryan knife thing, that's great. I love where they're like in the middle of a crowded room, like negotiating who's gonna get stabbed.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, that's great.
So great. So fucking
Well, and then
great.
and then he like kills him by doing what's that over there?
Yeah.
And then he stabs
So
him.
again, he's so funny. He just goes like, what's that? And then he stabs him.
I bet you haven't seen your own face in the mirror.
Yeah.
For the 3rd time, we're going to reference Hugo and Dr. Hibbert.
Well, that's the classic James Bond kill. What's that?
Well, and then they cut to a close-up of him as he's stabbing him. And it's funny because the way Daniel Craig plays it off, at least to me, is just that, like, this is nasty. I don't particularly like doing this, but whatever. But then immediately he puts him down, and then he taps his face.
I was going to say, if Pierce Brosnan had killed him, he would have done like a dramatic forward bend, kissed his forehead, rubbed his arm.
No, he wouldn't. He would have just went like stab, walk away, and then do the. You wouldn't even have like a react. He'd be like,
well, it depends if he had sex with him or not.
Yeah, if he had sex with him, then he would like kiss his forehead.
I mean, I don't think we'll stretch the levels of Bond psychopathy for him to like have sex with a corpse in the middle of like a museum.
Who came up with Body World? Body World's the only most perverted idea since James Bond, really. Who was like, I'm going to take a bunch of dead people.
I was reading a little bit about it. It's kind of a bizarre phenomenon of the 2000s. Yeah.
Oh, I went to that exhibit, the Bodies exhibit.
Yeah. Bond walks past an opening mural when he enters the exhibit, and then some smiling Matt Lucas looking guy. And I'm like, did he do it? Is that him?
Oh, you know
Wow.
he did it. Oh, you know he. Yeah.
Listen, you listen, guys, to this podcast because it's the only podcast that will reference Matt Lucas from Little Britain.
We love Britain, except for Bristol.
Except for Bristol.
Oh, wait, this is the reboot. I love Bristol. I have not had a bad experience with the city of Bristol yet.
Yeah, this is our rebooted continuity of. You'll learn how we come to hate Bristol. But yeah, I'm starting to sound like a broken record. But again, this fucking next action scene in the airport.
Whoa.
Fucking sick.
But the cameo.
Richard Branson?
Richard Branson, yeah.
I was gonna say, I was like, is that no?
Yeah,
that can't be.
He doesn't even get a close up or anything. She's just like in the corner of the frame.
Melissa did a genuine like. You like Leo DiCaprio.
No, you know what's even funnier is that apparently when they show the movie on like Virgin Airlines, they edited that scene so you don't see Richard Branson.
No, I thought it was a
blurred
rival
out.
airline. It was a rival airlines that edited him out. Because Virgin paid for this. You see Virgin Airlines everywhere in this.
I thought you were gonna say that in Virgin Airlines they just like photoshopped like Richard Branson's face into Daniel Craig. The only scene where he's not Daniel Craig is when he's getting beat in the balls.
But there's TSA and there's a bad guy and there's a bomb they're gonna blow up something in an airport, guys.
Yeah.
In the mid 2000s.
Yes.
Paul, this is a movie. It's not a documentary. You sound really concerned.
But it felt so real.
It's funny how this movie simultaneously is a reaction to 9/11, but it's also a healing of 9/11 because now you could blow up a plane in a movie once again.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was liberating, and also he's atoning for his past self, Timothy Dalton, in the Mujahideen.
1000%. And it's kind of cathartic to be like, what if we prevented 9/11 by sending a psychopath murder man
That's the whole reason why the superhero and James Bond was primed to become big again in the 2000s, right? Because we were like, all right, what if we just had a guy who could like stop this and save us? And also the special effects look good now.
Yeah, that's an interesting take.
Well, that's the other thing, it's like, it's shocking. We've had some major films in the last close to 20 years since this was made, in which there are
Jesus Christ, what have I done with my life? Anyway,
oh God.
There are airports
years.
that they couldn't even bother to film on a tarmac with lights on it. But in this movie, they did. And it's amazing.
We get our one glimpse of a CGI or an obvious CGI thing when the planes blow the cars.
Sure.
But it still looks solid, I think.
No, it looks pretty. No, I'm not saying it looks bad. I'm just saying that is our one.
It's visceral and
CGI thing.
I mean, we don't have to start complaining about the way modern movies look, but like,
that's your favorite thing to do, Paul.
It is my favorite thing to do. But I don't want to make this a 5-hour podcast, just a 4-hour one. It's at night, but you can see what's happening.
Yes.
What?
It looks, again, it's like
you don't have that Disney Plus fucking filter that makes
no
everything
HDR
illegible.
bullshit. Again, it's like when you go back to watching the Nolan Batman movies and you're like, these are gritty, but you can see them.
Which is funny because at the time the whole criticism of the Nolan Batman fight scenes were that they were too quickly edited. But now we're like, I miss
Now we're
it.
like, please give it back.
Go back.
Bring me
Yeah.
back.
I don't miss the poorly quickly edited stuff. I like it when it's like Casino Royale, or even when Paul Greengrass is directing a Bourne movie. Then it's done well, but then if it looks like
Quantum of Solace. Quantum of Solace is I mean, we'll talk about it. But,
We'll talk about that.
In this scene, like the fucking moment where like the fucking two cars are about to crash into each other and then Bond jumps off and they like grace. It's so fucking cool.
And it's captured well. Like they've got that perfect overhead at just the right time. You can see, you know exactly the geography.
No, it's like every shot is so calculated.
Move where he's hanging. He's trying to get up on top of the truck, the obvious choice, but he slips.
It's the only time I've ever heard Melissa go in any of these movies like, actually
genuinely
excited.
well-made.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that ending is like I don't know, that's the coldest part of the movie for me, where Bond gets arrested and you're like, you didn't save him. And Bond
this is so funny.
No, oh my God. The beat of like, because all we have, there is one shot in the middle of the fight scene when they're beating each other up in the cabin where Bond grabs his pants, but we don't see what happens after that.
Yeah,
and then
it's
we
such
get
a great reveal.
Bond is being arrested, and you're like, oh no, we have a beat of Bond is failed. The bomb is gonna blow up. And then he clicks the button, beep, 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 and the guy explodes, and it pushes in on Bond's face, and he is smirking, just like, ah.
Cold ass moment.
This is very James Bond, though, because you're completely absorbed into Bond's perspective. And usually in these movies, when Bond like goes up against someone and he has like a wry remark, this is the same kind of thing, but you're like totally invested in this. Like, yes, I'm happy that
because it feels like the real
too.
world, and it also like sort of like it makes the character a little more three-dimensional and complicated in that like we see him kill and feel bad sometimes, but some other times he's just loving it. He's just like a man full of contradictions.
This is the moment where I'm like, oh my God, this guy is a monster, that he can like see a guy blow up in front of him that he caused, and he's like, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Well, he's just like, fuck you, you're a terrorist asshole, and I beat you. Ha.
Well, yeah, I think it's the satisfaction of like, accomplishing it. And I think, and it's interesting because it does again tie in with the M thing that like Bond in the beginning, at least in the first half of this, people keep underestimating him. You know, he's got to prove himself to everybody because James Bond is not famous.
Yes.
Yet.
He made front page news within the first 30 minutes of the movie.
He doesn't have patented merchandise yet. No deck
Not
of
yet.
cards
Not yet.
yet. But yeah, then M is basically, we finally get
he
to
goes back to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
He flies from Miami back to the Bahamas, and for some reason, all of MI6 is at this murder investigation.
That does not make sense, but it's okay because this is when we finally get to the Casino Royale plot proper of M being like, there's this guy, Lashif, he lost all his money because he's a dumbass, and now he's gonna try to get it all back at this super luxurious casino. Stop him. Super simple plot. You understand the stakes perfectly. Let's go.
Already we have established that just kissing the Daniel Craig James Bond will get you killed, as not a single woman who kisses him for at least 3 movies makes it out alive because she is dead in a hammock.
Well, except for Camille and Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, but fuck that
you're right.
movie.
She does kiss him real quick. Yeah, you're right. But it's not a makeout session.
It's a little kissy
Yeah.
Suzuki.
I think that's so brutal when the way this poor woman is found dead.
Oh, it's horrifying.
Yeah. It's just like, this is like the first time in a Bond movie where like the woman dies and it's not like, she was fed by piranhas or painted gold. It's like, no, she's like tied up in a hammock and she's covered in sand and her eyes are open. And it's so disturbing that we're disturbed, and then even M's assistant can't even bear the sight of it and starts
It's like
gagging.
throwing up.
Yeah.
I found out recently that this was PG-13, which would kind of shock me. I always thought this was R-rated.
Jan, you saw it when you were 7.
Yeah, I saw R-rated movies all the time.
Well, the thing, we'll get to it later, but the machete fight in the stairway is like, oh my God, you're pushing it. You're really pushing it.
Well, there's a moment where they literally push his balls into himself.
So then we get
at 1 hour into the movie
and 2 hours into this podcast, we get Vesper,
the best Bond girl of all time. Not even a competition.
Wait, really quick, before we go into a deep Vesper discussion, the Moneypenny reference line reminds me to point out that this movie showed you didn't need Q or Moneypenny to make a good James Bond movie, and I don't know if those characters have ever fully recovered.
Yeah, that's
which
a good
is
point.
sad.
But that's also kind of like what this whole movie is. It's basically just like stripping Bond to its bare essentials. And it's like, do we need this? Do we need that? No, what is James Bond?
Yeah, when you're adapting Casino Royale, the character of Vesper in the novel is extremely underwritten, to put it generously.
Yes.
And that's what kind of works in the context of that story.
But what a fucking upgrade.
Bond falls in love with her in the book because she is so, or he thinks that she is so naive to everything and she's so fascinated by his world and by him. And in this one, it's just like, fuck that shit. No, she's the only one who can see through Bond and cut him down to size verbally.
Yeah, she's so competent.
And that really is the biggest departure for Casino Royale, the novel, from Casino Royale, the book, is that in the novel, Vesper proves all of James Bond's worst thoughts and impulses right. In the movie, Vesper inspires him to become a better man, which is the stronger
Correct,
choice.
even though she is also kind of horrible, but not really.
Not really.
No, I mean, this first scene in the train, my 12-year-old mush brain, I was like, I cannot believe this. The dialogue scenes are gripping.
Oh yeah, no, the dialogue's really good.
The dialogue is great.
You liked when he talked about his tight ass.
Yeah.
I will be keeping my eye on our government's money and off your perfectly formed house.
You noticed.
I don't think a Bond movie has or will ever top the chemistry between Daniel Craig and Eva Green in this movie.
Apart from the fact that Eva Green in this movie is the hottest a woman has ever looked in any movie ever.
You said that last time.
You said that 5 times, but
But this time's true.
Well, it turns out it's so funny how in this movie, because was this like her first big Hollywood movie? Because she'd been in
not The Dreamers.
No, but this was, no one saw The Dreamers. This was the best big thing. And I think she was only like 22 or something when she made this movie.
Yeah, she was like 25. She was 25, 26.
That's insane.
Unlike us, successful podcasters.
Yeah, we are older than Eva Green was in Casino Royale, and I'm just like, she is a mature woman that.
Don't look up the average ages of everyone in the Star Wars prequels.
What a weird way to describe her. She is a mature goddess.
She has poise and command and goes toe-to-toe with Craig. And it's like, obviously there have been many refinements on this, but it certainly harkens back to
Anya.
Spy Who Loved Me.
Way better than Spy Who Loved Me, though.
I heard that, Jake, but I'm saving up my ammo for the Spectre episode.
Okay.
Oh my
I'm ready.
God.
But yeah, this is what really elevates this movie to me a lot, is that like you have Daniel Craig and I'm like, this is the best Bond performance ever. This guy is fantastic. And then you have Eva Green and it's like, well, here comes the Bond girl. Here's where everything's gonna slow down and become, and then like she is equally fantastic. Like the performance is insane. Their chemistry is insane. The character is so strongly written. What the fuck kind of movie are we watching?
And that's my argument for why maybe Le Chiffre being a little underwhelming to me isn't the worst thing in the world, right? Because I'm freely stealing this from Film Crit Hulk. But if your Bond girl works, then your movie works. And Vesper Lind is so great that she like, I don't want to say single-handedly, but she's a big reason why this movie just soars
1000%.
above the rest of the series.
I maintain that like not every Bond movie needs to have a love story,
Like
but
Casino Royale.
This one, it's essential. Like it's the heart of the movie. This relationship.
Yeah.
And it's a 10 out of 10. You
Well,
know?
if you're comparing it to a later Daniel Craig movie that will remain nameless.
All of them.
Well, at least in Quantum of Solace and Skyfall, they're not attempting a love story, but there's a certain other movie that attempts a love story
and it's
similar to this
terrible.
and fucking fails miserably.
And does it great. I'll go down scene by scene and point out how it meets specific check marks. In some ways, more than the Vesper story does.
Oh my, no!
I do think what's interesting about the way they're skewing each other, Jan brought it up earlier, is that yes, she kind of pinpoints that he is a guy who has been underestimated his whole life. He's been treated poorly at Eton. He's been pampered, but not loved. And so he has something to prove.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
And it's like, so now, again, when she comes into the movie, his humanity comes out. She's drawing out the humanity that is there. And suddenly for these next, 80 minutes, Daniel Craig, he's not a monster anymore. He's like a guy. And you're like, oh my God, he's a human.
I adore the little banter that they have at the hotel with what they're gonna wear, and that's
that's great
40s rom-com shit.
Stephanie Broadchest.
Yeah, Stephanie Broadchest. I was gonna say that. So your name is gonna be Stephanie Broadchest. They're one little nod to the names of yesteryear.
Yeah.
And you're Miss Stephanie Broadchest, Aaron.
I am not.
You're gonna have to trust me on this.
She's well positioned too because she has a similar orphan background to James Bond, but also she works for the British Treasury in this adaptation, and she's giving him the money to go up in the game against Le Chiffre. And that's brilliant because it makes her part of the operation, but she still is removed enough from Bond's world that she still can be
and she also is controlling over Bond's pocket, and we later get to that scene later on where he's like, I need more money, and she's like, fuck you, you idiot.
Almost every adaptation decision is really inspired in this.
Yes.
The tension, I do love again the idea that if Bond loses this game, the British will sponsor state terrorism.
Yeah. it's this and they both mention it's just because a lot of people make fun of it. It's why don't we just arrest Le Chiffre now? It's just well, we want him to be desperate enough because he still has resources. We want to get rid of all of his resources, even though this plan is insane.
That's what I like about it. It's the characters in this. Yeah, not in a Marvel wink wink way. They're just very earnestly saying this seems like a bad plan that would be in a bad spy novel. You
don't think this is a very good plan, do you?
So there is a plan. I got the impression we were risking millions of dollars and hundreds of lives on a game of luck.
But it's okay because James Bond is the best gambler in the service.
Yeah, he's the best gambler in the service, and he'll get it done.
Also, that little scene where Vesper gives him his suit, and he's like kind of annoyed that he has to wear
a tuxedo, and he's like looking in the mirror and going like, "Oh, I actually look."
It makes me. I may be reaching here, but it makes me think that it's part of like the prequel origin story stuff. That maybe like he wears suits in the future all the time because he's thinking of Vesper. I don't know.
I don't think that's a reach. I think that's explicitly what the movie is saying. Is Vesper
Okay, good.
makes him? I think Vesper turns him into James Bond. She gets him the suit. The martini is named after her. Like, I think this movie...
But I don't know. I think it's interesting because it's like...
But it's not in your face about it, really.
Yeah, his James Bond persona at the end is sort of like him trying to, like, escape his humanity, but at the same time cling on to her. And so there's, like, that interesting...
Which is weird, because in the book, he's already like this. And Vesper, literally, everything she arouses in him, he kills by the end of the book. Whereas in the movie, everything she arouses in him makes him better than the smiling psycho he was in the first hour.
Because I really love in this, like, how the beginning, like, he's not dressed like James Bond for most of it. He's mostly just, like, wearing Hawaiian. He looks like John Lasseter, you know? He's wearing Hawaiian shirts and khaki shorts.
Except almost as scary.
Yeah, he dresses like shit. Like, they have so many opportunities for him to do the classic lines. When he goes to check in the hotel, they're like, name, and he just goes, James Bond. Like, well,
it's like, it's beach, but it's like, it's reservations under beach, but it's actually James Bond.
James Bond. You'll find the reservation under beach.
Yeah, he doesnst do the Bond James Bond yet. Famously, when they ask him martini, shaken or stirred, he goes, I don't give a shit. You know?
Vodka martini. Shaken or stirred? Do I look like I give a damn?
But Vesper, when he does do the hotel thing, she's like, I'm taking this elevator up alone. Why? Because there's no room in here for you and your ego.
Take the next one. There isn't enough room for me and your ego.
And like, she's doing one-liners and like...
This movie's so good.
And then, you know, it's like all this audition, then he walks into the game.
Yeah, and he's Bond.
Playing the part, he's looking the part, but she's still like coaching him a little bit.
Yeah. Well, they're coaching each other. They're just like, who's in charge here?
I need you to have a plunging neckline. I need you to wear it. Please. I've had a very rough day. Can you please just wear the dress?
He gets on his knees. Please wear this dress. He just makes like a shitty sketch of her like as a stick figure with big boobies. Like, this is what you're gonna look like.
We haven't talked about Mathis yet.
Oh yeah, I think Mathis is awesome.
Oh yeah, Mathis is fun.
Even though he's supposed to be French, he's not a Frenchman, he's an Italian.
Yeah.
We get a gratuitous cameo by Michael G. Wilson, who is the corrupt chief of police that's working with Lashif.
Yes, and he gets arrested.
Whenever I see Michael G. Wilson with the knowledge that he was Broccoli's stepson, I'm like, how fucking old was Albert R. Broccoli?
Well, wait, I
like,
gotta think about, like, you look at Michael G. Wilson, I need to do the frame by frame and be like, do you see Batman in him? Do you see
you gotta
Batman's
put like
jeans?
you gotta draw the mask on him.
You gotta draw with the little devil horns.
Yeah.
You just, like a Mask of the Phantasm, you just draw him with a smile and he's like, oh, he's the Joker.
Oh my God. I just watched that movie because we may or may not be recording this on Valentine's Day, and that's what I do every Valentine's Day. That movie rocks.
But you know what also rocks is Casino Royale. So we get the poker stuff.
Perhaps the boldest move of this movie, with the exception of a couple of scuffles in the middle and him being poisoned and dying for a minute there. There's 45 minutes of playing poker.
And it's riveting.
You're actually supposed to follow it, and you do. I mean, at least as an adult, obviously earlier I was like, something's happening.
The thing is, like, I still know a lot of people, like, I know how to play Texas Hold'em, but I didn't back then. I still know a lot of people that have no idea how to play it, and just through the camera work, through the editing, through the actors' performances, you totally understand what's going on. Like, oh, this is good. Oh, this is bad, you know?
And Mathis is also commentating on what's happening, just in case you're lost.
It's more about the characters' tells than like the mechanics of poker. It's more like, oh, Lashif's eye bleeds when he gets worried.
Yeah, it's all about the expressions. It's kind of like in Succession when a character goes like, I'm gonna buy your stock for $9.57 a stock with a 15% interest, and you go like, holy shit, I have no idea what that means. You know?
Oh, wait, I do want to point out this movie is such a great time capsule of the 2000s. because it's about things that people really cared about at the time, but nowadays, not so much. The war on terror, high stakes poker. You know, these are things that were big at the time, but not so much now.
Which is funny because Baccarat is still played in casinos.
In 2006, there were two things on TV. War in Iraq news footage and Ben Affleck playing Texas Hold'em while he's very drunk. This is why this is the perfect 2006
and if
movie.
you were lucky, you got a third channel that was just Smallville.
Somebody save me!
I dare say this is a better prequel than Smallville.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't take James Bond 10 years to put on a tuxedo. He doesn't.
What the fuck? What does James Bond put on Lashif's inhaler?
Oh, he puts a tracker.
I always thought he had like poisoned him or something.
No, Lashif poisoned James Bond.
Even in the best James Bond movies, there's a plot point that I'm like, what is that?
Well, it makes sense because he puts the tracker in, and then he's using his phone to see what floor he's on. I don't even know really why they're going to Lashif's floor at all.
To sex him.
So we get to the guys that we were introduced in the beginning of the movie, talking to Lashif. They have now broken into his hotel room and are threatening him, going like, where's our money?
Where is my money? Think you can lose that kind of money and no one would notice?
And again, he's crying like a little bitch.
Yeah,
and I love it. I think it's great for a Bond
favorite
villain.
Bond villain.
He's a great actor, and he's a great character.
Oh, yeah, he's a great actor. I'm just saying, like, this is where I'm like, this guy's kind of a wimp.
But that's the point. That's why it's awesome when, spoilers, James Bond doesn't kill him. He doesn't even confront him. Some rando who later on would go on to be like the grandfather of his child or whatever.
Yep,
he just comes in and shoots him.
James Bond is a Nepo baby. His father-in-law has to kill all his villains for him.
I know. He doesn't do any of the work by himself.
Yeah, god damn it. But so he gets into a stairway fight, and it is
brutal.
Oh yeah, he kills the first guy like right off the bat. He just throws him down the stairs and he goes kerplop.
And the movie actually shows him crash onto the floor.
Yeah.
It holds on him just like strangling the dude while Vesper watches, and it's again just like
horrifying.
What if killing wasn't cool in these movies? What if it was like really traumatizing?
Yeah. And the way he acts after he kills them, where he's like, I'm gonna tell Mathis where I hid the bodies. I'm going to put them in this hole. And it's weird because previously when he killed someone, he like just kind of left them off to the side. But now you get this note in Craig's performance of him trying. He's angry that he had to do it in front of Vesper. Like you can tell that he's almost like trying to rationalize and still seem calm and like a good guy because he thinks he's exposed.
He's such a good actor. His performance is so good. Like he's communicating so much with his expression.
Well, and then you get the next scene where he's cleaning his wounds and he's drinking and he's looking at himself and he's just like, why the fuck am I doing this?
That's what
the fuck am I doing?
It's like, I love that it's not just like he kills and then we just, next scene, shrug it out. Like we actually sit with like what he has done for a little bit.
And it moves the plot forward because they get closer in that.
Yeah, I mean, that shower scene is like genuinely beautiful, which I don't know if there's ever been a scene in a James Bond movie before that I can be like, oh, that's beautiful. Maybe when Gustav Grave turns British. I'm like, that is beautiful, but you know.
The surfing is the most beautiful part of that movie.
The three moments that make Jan tear up at the beauty of it is James Bond turning Japanese and You Only Live Twice, Gustav Graves turning white in Die Another Day,
and Eva Green
crying out of trauma because she just witnessed a man strangle another man.
Yeah, she's shaking and like her performance is really great in that also.
This scene also had an ominous development behind the scenes where Daniel Craig correctly pointed out that if Vesper was so distraught about what had happened, she wouldn't be in her underwear in the shower like in the script. She would be either fully nude or fully dressed. So they went with a more conservative option, fully dressed. And that was a good call, but it does start a very ominous trend of Daniel Craig writing these movies behind the scenes.
I was gonna say, like, this Daniel Craig guy has good ideas. They should let him do all the decisions.
And then it's like, bum, 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 bum. Wait. Can I point out a weird editing rhythm decision here?
Is it when they just cut to M raw dogging her husband?
Pegging her husband like in Deadpool.
Like, what is this scene doing here?
If only you could watch movies the way Jan Bros sees them.
I just watch static on my TV and make up the movie in my mind.
There's gonna be a biopic of your life, and it's gonna be just the Forrest Gump poster. Just you haven't seen the world until you've seen it through the eyes of Jan Bros.
Yeah, I am like Forrest Gump. I have a very blessed life, but I am like genuinely a moron.
This is one of those moments where like we'll ask if we want to make this the clip for the episode, and I can't. Because I can't animate Jan and all the full penetration experiences. It's just too much.
You'll have to go to that After Effects tab.
Get into the get a whole new plug-in for my editing software. No, speaking of editing, in Martin Campbell's 2006 film Casino Royale, it's a little weird that we do the staircase fight, then we cut to James Bond going back down to Le Chiffre and being like, I'm doing fine. You didn't, I'm fine, you're fine.
Well, he's a spy. It's his job.
Well, yeah, but then we cut back to him going upstairs, and that little scene of Le Chiffre, like, it's only like 2 minutes.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I think it does serve a purpose because he has just killed a guy. Vesper's traumatized. He cleaned up his wounds. And now he has to go back and gamble.
I guess it just shows how desensitized he is to this shit in comparison to Vesper.
It's not just how desensitized he is. He's desensitized, but he's grappling with, well, that was fucked up and brutal, and I can't believe I just did that. Oh well, time to change my shirt.
Exactly.
Can we talk about how that kills the whole vibe? Because when he is first at the gambling place, he's like, I'm going to order a martini. Blah, 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 blah. And everyone's like,
3 measures of Gordon's, 1 of vodka.
This man knows how to order a martini.
Don't do the...
And shake it over ice until it's ice cold.
And add a thin slice of lemon peel.
And he's drinking. I do love how everyone else there is like, I want that.
Every time I go to a bar, I try to order that, and then I go like, alcohol is yucky.
I actually like the taste of Vespers. It's just like, if you want to get drunk quickly,
they're a bit
it's
too
great.
strong. That's why Bond likes them.
Have you had a true Vesper? Because they stopped making like a key ingredient in like 1986.
Was it cocaine?
No, it was Quina Lillet. They don't make it anymore. And at the time when they made
should have
this,
been cocaine.
Quina Lillet did not exist. So it doesn't really make any sense. It's an anachronism in this movie.
Well, the whole movie's an anachronism. Is it 2006?
Oh, wait, real quick. The Asian woman who is at the table, this is legit.
That's a man.
That's not a man. What are you talking about?
The guy with the long hair.
No, not that guy.
There's an Asian woman in this scene. She is the woman who Sean Connery is having sex with at the beginning of You Only Live Twice when they
Are you talking about
death.
Jeffrey Wright?
Him too, but the woman who was on top in that scene was the woman in this scene.
Okay, but yeah, then James Bond goes back to gamble, and because he's the worst spy fucking ever, loses all of the money.
Though most poker players would tell you what he did was smart.
Yeah, because of the tell, right?
Yeah.
But it was just Le Chiffre fucking with him so that he would waste all of his money because Bond is an idiot. And he goes to Vesper. He's like, I'm going to need £5 million. She's like, no, you just bet everything because you were so convinced that you fucking figured this guy out. You don't know shit.
Well, then you're an idiot.
I'm sorry?
I said you're a bloody idiot.
He calls her an idiot, and it's like, no, you're the idiot.
You just funded like 12 9/11s.
And he's like, I need more money to fund more terrorists.
And America comes to the rescue.
Yeah.
Yes. Does it look like Americans need the money?
Does it look like we need the money?
I feel like Ian Fleming would cry at that line.
Happy tears, or
I know that this is from the book, but it's still, I think, the funniest, most nonsensical scene in the entire movie, where Felix is just like, "You're a cool guy. Only a cool guy can win in poker. Here's $100 million."
right. Well, he's like, we have better funding and are less competent than Britain. Which I guess is basically, you buy it, right?
That's a thesis statement of the whole series, is that the Americans are the world actors, but they need these British people to actually get the job.
And again,
done.
Felix role in this is very minimal, but just the fact that he's played by Jeffrey Wright, one of the finest actors working right now, he still has a very good presence in the, like, he'll have more of a presence in the future, but I think he's really solid here.
Really? You think he has more of a presence in Quantum of Solace and No Time to Die?
And No Time to Die, at least.
I guess.
What are you talking about?
So only when he now has the full funding and endorsement of the U.S. government does he come back, sit down, and that's when Mads is like, gotta kill him.
We're going to kill this alcoholic the only way I know how, through alcohol.
I think he could have killed him not by poisoning the alcohol, but just by ordering more.
I was gonna say he just keeps the game going, and he's like, "Come on, couldn't you? I'm getting a drink. Are you
I was
getting
gonna
a drink?"
say, is this an illicit poker game? Like, I know in the book there is an air that this baccarat game is like dicey or illegal, but in this one, it's just like, well, it's in Montenegro, but on the whole.
Well, like I said, like
legit?
you could at this point you could just turn on the TV and see like Tobey Maguire losing $50 million.
Yeah. If this movie was made today, do you think James Bond would be on FanDuel?
Probably.
Yeah.
He'd be like betting through his phone.
The poisoning scene, another great tension-filled sequence.
And it's so real. Craig is bringing it. Like, you can feel that he's like stumbling around.
I love the scene in the bathroom, like how it's all overexposed and handheld. It's so cool. It's very like mid-2000s, but it really brings it home, I think.
And he's working his way to his car to like get the machine. And yeah, normally this is where you would have Q be like, now pay attention, 007. You have exactly 2 minutes before your heart blows up.
It's just like random MI6 guys that are just like, all right, so can we figure out what kind of poison that he's in? He's got digititis. Inject this instead of this.
No, again, super well edited, super well choreographed, but also like I really think it's funny when the guy barges into M's office and he's like, Bond's been poisoned, and M just gives a look like, how? It's a poker game. How? This guy's the worst guy ever.
I don't know if there was any interaction, but 2006, right? This and Mission Impossible 3 both feature main character being dead.
Yes.
and the main lady has to, jolt him back after a second. So
well,
that's
Vesper Lynn doesn't do anything here, but
she saves his life.
It's fucking weird how this movie is like supposed to be the grounded, realistic Bond, but this has some of the most intense things to ever be featured in a Bond movie, like parkour, machete fight in a stairwell where
full-on
he strangles a guy to
penetration.
death, full-on penetration, and Bond literally dying. His heart stops, and he is resuscitated. Like,
yes,
this is
he
the
is
most
literally
intense...
reborn as James Bond through the intervention of that.
Oh.
In the monomyth, this would be when he brings it up.
I thought when he gets reborn is when he gets his balls whipped.
Oh, wait, one more. So whenever you watch Casino Royale on like streaming or on demand, they have this picture of Daniel Craig looking cool, but his tie is undone and his shirt is all ruffled. And the only time that happens in the movie is when he's poisoned and he's stumbling around like Jordan
So the
Belfort
poster
in
is
Wolf of Wall
him
Street.
like poisoned.
Poisoned and drunk. Yeah. And Vesper looking at him like, this man is a disaster.
This man has a problem.
I love this quip when he comes back. He's like, that last hand nearly killed me. Again, pretty funny Bond.
Oh, and right before that, when he gets resuscitated, the MI6 guys are like, all right, now get yourself to a hospital. He's like, nah, that's not happening. And Vesper's like, what the hell are you doing? And he's just like, I'm going back in. But you just died. He's like, you're not seriously going back in there. And he just goes like, I wouldn't dream of it.
We're not seriously going back there.
I wouldn't dream of it.
Is that, wait, when
He's
does he
funny.
do the yelling, do you want your martini shaken or not stirred? Shut up!
Pulls out a gun. Why did you say that name?
He's like, look, whatever, give me another one. It's poisoned again.
Maybe he likes getting poisoned and getting his balls crushed into oblivion.
He does go to dinner with Vesper after the poker game, and he's
drinking
the
He's
martinis.
such a moron.
He's got a problem.
And yeah, like after this is his big win, but very much in James Bond fashion. He doesn't win through his wits or anything. He wins through sheer luck because he gets dealt a straight flush. I'm like, that is James Bond, baby, the most useless man of all time. But things just work out for him, you know.
He did it, and then of course it immediately just everything gets worse for him.
It's pretty funny when he's just like having dinner and he just goes like, maybe I shouldn't have said all that shit to this guy I barely know. wait a minute, and he runs out. Like, yeah.
I can't believe the guy who would stuff corpses in the trunk of a car for me could maybe be sketchy.
Oh yeah, also that scene when they're just like laughing at like framing a guy
Yeah,
for murder.
Just a good
Such psychopaths. But yeah, he runs after Vesper. It's a very flimsy plan. They're counting on Bond realizing that Mathis betrayed him so that they would put Vesper on the road, counting that it was Bond who would see her and the car would flip. I don't
always
get
wanted
this.
to know, knowing that Vesper is a double agent, I always wondered what the discussion was like. All right, so we know how to get him. We're going to put you in the middle of the road. He's going to see you.
Like, what
He's
if
gonna
some other
flip
guy
his
was
car.
just driving through, like Hans Moleman, and he just, like, runs over Vesper? Like, you know?
Yeah, like, and Vesper's supposed to be in on it, right?
Well, in the book, it makes sense because they put spikes on the road and then
Well,
he
that seems
flips
more
and
important
crashes
than
the
Vesper.
car. But it's not dramatic if, you know, you don't put Vesper in the middle of the road and you turn.
Yeah, I mean, movie logic, I guess it works. And those car flips are awesome, obviously.
It's a world record breaking car flip. The most amount of flips by a car.
And also the world record for worst spy.
You
This
know,
is-
you
he
know what
wanted
he
in
was
the
missing,
scene.
Jake? You know what really would have made that flip look cool?
What is that?
A slide whistle. Just a little slide whistle.
I
tastefully
disagree.
glazed.
I think full-on penetration would make it cooler.
Jan, do you have that erectile dysfunction thing where whenever you do full-on penetration, you get a little slide whistle?
How do you know this? Let's talk about Bond's balls. This is probably the most infamous scene in the book, and I guess everyone was really curious to see how they would do that. They're like, they're not gonna do it. And they're like, oh no, they do it. Not only do they do it, but they do
make
it
it even crazier.
Worse. Yeah, like, it's not a carpet beater. It's a fucking rope. It's so primitive.
Lashif is just maneuvering that with his foot in the book and like tapping his balls. No, Mads Mikkelsen has a rope and he's swinging it around like a lasso right into his balls.
It's horrifying.
They have the greatest sound effect, you know, that dull, like.
Yeah, and Craig just going.
And this is, well, yeah, this is possibly for an actor that can do it all and has gone very big in other movies. This is the most unhinged he's ever been.
Oh yeah. Are you talking about Mads or Daniel Craig?
Now that you know, the whole world will know that you died scratching my balls.
Now the whole world's gonna know that you died scratching my balls.
Great line.
It's
And
so
it's
funny.
so different from the book where Bond is like disassociating from it and passing out and regaining consciousness. In this one, Craig, again, he is becoming the Eon Productions James Bond to cope with what's happening to him. He's quipping like crazy.
Of just going like, you can't hurt me. I love when people punch me in the ball. He's like the Joker.
To the right. To the right.
No, and also like, this is a great example of the scene of like, in the hands of a lesser director, the scene would probably be very funny and mocked for eternity. But it's actually genuinely horrifying.
But in the hands of the guy who made The Legend of Zorro and Green Lantern, it's genuinely.
And you know, I think there's like a cool like meta thing of people saying like, this new James Bond is a pussy. Bond is not supposed to cry and fall in love and be blonde and blah blah blah. Well, now you have a scene where the bad guy's literally like emasculating him, like punching him in the balls, you know, of being like, we don't care about any of this shit.
I think a lot of people see the scene and they're like, oh, that's why he has so much full penetration unprotected sex, because he
That's
can't
what
have
I said.
children. But later on, I think every single version of James Bond who has gone through a Casino Royale ball beating has eventually been revealed to have like a biological child afterwards. And you're like, what?
And then some guy comes in and shoots them.
Not some guy, the guy we saw earlier in the movie. He has been introduced.
Mr.
Yeah.
White. But again, I think it's great. It's from the book, but also like a great, to use a Ryan Johnson-y term, great subversion of expectations. Of just like, oh, you think there's gonna be a big showdown with the bad guy? No, just some guy comes in and shoots him because he's not really the bad guy in this movie. He's just a
I
middleman.
will say it works in Casino Royale this one time. I'll accept it. It still does not engender a lot of great feelings in me for Lashif, But it is, again, Peter Lorre got the showdown with James Bond. Orson Welles and Mads Mikkelsen are just shot by a
Enough
random
about
guy.
Peter Lorre. He's dead.
Look, it doesn't hold a candle to Orson Welles having a guy come out of his TV to shoot him.
That is true.
Yeah.
And Mads Mikkelsen doesn't do any magic, so 0 out of 10.
Which is weird because his name is literally Magic Mads Mikkelsen. That's his full legal name.
Yeah,
He goes by his
the
middle
Magic Milkman, as Le Chiffre.
Magic Milkman. But it's funny in the book, it's just some Russian guy who kills Le Chiffre, and then he's just like, I'm not going to and the reason why he doesn't kill Bond is because he's like, I have no orders to kill you, but I'll carve an acrylic spy on your wrist.
Yeah, to mark
that he ends
you
up
as
getting
a-
plastic surgery for in Live and Let Die, and now it's not there.
And he's like, while you're at it, can you make me Japanese also? And they're like, no.
Ian Fleming is like, if he has the scar on his hand, everyone will know he's a 00 agent.
That's just how it works. But yes, Mads getting shot kicks off the kind of sequence with all these scenes back to back to back that could be just like, what the fuck is happening? You know, like it could totally lose people.
Well, yeah, it does feel like this movie is 3 movies in one, and this is the 3rd movie.
In the hands of a lesser team behind the camera, it would be like...
Cut to Green Lantern.
Yeah, it would be like, this is a disaster, you know, like Green Lantern. But in this, it all feels so smooth. Like everything is building on top of each other. Nothing feels
And
gratuitous.
it's like the beats are there and the performance is all together too. The fact that Craig is he's waking up in a hospital bed, these people are coming and going, and he's just like, yep.
But yeah,
yep.
we're in their little garden and they're falling in love.
It's so idyllic, you never question, hey, wait, wasn't Felix Leiter supposed to get Le Chiffre? Oh, wait, where's MI6? Why are there no MI6 people?
Yeah.
But Mathis is still here. Wait a minute. What's
Wait a
going
minute.
on?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny when he's waking up, he's seeing the silhouettes of Vesper, and then Mathis comes and he's like, no, not Mathis.
No.
And Mathis was probably like, he wants me, and he starts caressing James Bond's head.
It's okay, James, I'm here.
Mathis thinks that the love story's between the two of them.
There is a deleted scene where you actually see Bond getting rushed to the hospital, and then it's like the movie where they're like operating on him, and then there's another scene with him and Mathis where Mathis is like, oh, your wounds, they've got infected.
Let me lick them.
Let me lick them. No, he's just like, oh, your wounds have gotten infected. They might have to cut them off or something like that. At least that's what I thought I heard. I don't know what's going on.
And then the full penetration happens.
And then full penetration happens. But then Bond reaches for like a scalpel on the surgery tray, and then falls out of his bed and gets disconnected from his wires, and he just like collapses on the floor. Just
End.
The end. No, I thought, Jake, you were going to say it was going to be like that Family Guy clip where Mathis is like, I don't care how much it costs. Make this man well again.
No, but seriously, that scene in the garden just melts me.
Oh, that's very
the
touching.
password is her name. She starts crying. Also, in retrospect, it's even sadder because she's crying because she has to betray him eventually. And she's saying, the thing about like in your little finger, there's more man than anyone else I've ever met. And then he says the whole thing about like, you've disarmed me. I have no armor. And I'm like, this is the most beautiful movie ever made. And we just got a scene of a guy getting beat in the balls for like 5 straight minutes.
Is this the scene or is it on the beach where he's like, I know everyone's tell except yours, and that's why I love you. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very again, it's like in rewatch shit gets better because there's just like, what's coming and you're just sad,
Yeah.
Then they go to Venice and it has another unintentionally hilarious scene, which is like he's resigning from the MI6 on his tiny Zoni Vio on a boat.
Yeah.
Like, why is he doing it there? And then he's like, back to enjoying my vacation. And it's just like, why didn't you do this in your hotel room?
He has Wi-Fi on the boat in 2006.
Yes.
MI6 is paying for that
He
Wi-Fi.
just looks so funny with this hunk of a man in this tiny little Sony Vio.
Well, wait, it's interesting. It's not interesting. It's very funny. So he sends the email and it disappears, and you see a list of his recently sent emails, in the last email he sent before resigning, this isn't a TV trope thing, this is something I saw with my own eyes, was stationery. He was ordering stationery for himself in the last email.
It'd be really great if like you saw his email and it was all like spam from like Indian tech guys.
Oh yeah, it's all porn sites, but it's all like pussy galore, chew me, plenty of tool.
That's when Vesper decided to betray him, is when she went through his browser history.
Ironically, James Bond does not use an incognito mode because he's reckless.
He's the worst spy ever.
Yes.
It's like, they already know who I am. It doesn't matter.
You know my name.
Yeah. He calls Pornhub and he's like, hello, my name is Secret Agent James Bond. I'd like to hire your service forever.
Can you please charge this to M? She
Bond, what are these charges for entertainment services?
It's for work, M. We need to take Lashif down. This is how we do it.
So I'm planning on watching a bunch of porn on his computer.
What are all these feet pics? That's Lashif M. We got him.
We got him. What do you mean we got him?
What do you mean you got him? We got him, M. We got him.
Looking at hundreds
God
of feet
save the
pics.
queen, ma'am. But wait, Paul, you bring up You Know My Name, and I do think this is as good a time as any to point out that, oh my God, this song that is such an anthem of kick-ass beating people up, when they play it in the score, it is also like a beautiful love song.
Oh yeah,
like, it's crazy how well it fits in.
And it predominates instead of like
the James Bond
classic theme.
Oh,
It's a great way to tease the James Bond theme, but not, you know, when he puts the suit on, you just hear the first two notes like,
yes,
da da, and then it goes da 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 da. I'm like, that's great.
That's great. They blend together so wonderful. David Arnold and Chris Cornell like did a great job.
Oh yeah, this might be my favorite Bond score of all time.
Oh, it's up there.
You know what's funny? The love theme kind of reminds me of the Elektra love theme and
from Daredevil,
from Amazing Spider-Man 2.
She lied to me, Vespa. She betrayed me.
The itsy bitsy Bond comes up the water spout.
No, it kind of reminds me of the Elektra theme, which they kind of reuse at the end of Die Another Day.
Oh, you mean Elektra King?
Elektra King.
Oh, I thought you meant Jennifer Gardner.
I thought so too,
No.
yeah.
Elektra.
I was like, that's interesting. But
No,
okay.
we just watched this movie 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but all I remember is there was a ghost. I thought that whole episode happened in Jan's head. Whatever, that's the old continuity.
But anyway, yeah, this next scene is very reminiscent when you like, you had a deadline for something you had to deliver for work, and your boss like calls you, and you're like, "Where's this thing?" And you're like, sending it right now. You know,
JK, LOL.
It turns out I fucked up and I fell in love with enemy agent who is now stealing the money.
M is like, so those $150 million, where are they? And Bond is like, they're, I'm going to the bank, bye.
I like how the implication was that Bond was going to straight up steal the money, but then, and just travel the world with Vesper. But then he's like, wait, she's taking it. And then he calls the guy who set up the casino game, who is hilarious. He's like, oh, Bond, where's my money? Oh, it's being withdrawn right now. You should know about this.
And then he just immediately tracks down Vesper and pulls out a gun. He's like, I'm going to fucking kill
And then
her.
he's the tank again.
But this whole sequence where he's chasing after Vesper, and then we get to that awesome climax in the collapsing building. I've heard some people complain about this movie having like 2 climaxes, but I'm like, that's what makes it good in my opinion, is like, you think it has that ending of him riding into the sunset with the lady of all the Bond movies, but then it just keeps going and it makes it more interesting.
Yeah, it's the On Her Majesty's Secret Service thing. Like, wait, what tragic thing is going to happen now? oh no,
we're still here. This can't be good.
I noticed the disjointedness a bit. I mean, I think it's not a drawback to the movie. I don't think it's as smooth as something like The Dark Knight, which also stops and then keeps going in a slightly different direction.
Sure.
It plays with that idea of like...
Yeah, and I still think it's like perfectly paced, because like, I had to pee throughout this whole movie, and I was watching it in my apartment, and I could not go pee. And it's such a different from like A View to a Kill, where I was literally watching it through Subway Surfers on my phone because I was so bored.
This is like one of the only movies rewatching for the podcast that I watched in like one sitting.
Yeah,
it's like
for sure.
this and Octopussy.
This and Die Another Day. The two perfectly paced Bond movies.
But she's gonna do one last thing, even though she knows that she's gonna die.
Yeah.
She goes off to meet Gettler, who we've seen briefly when Bond is resigning on his Sony Vaio, which is from the book. That guy is in the book.
Where the Sony Vaio?
Well, yes. No, well, in the book, they keep going out at the hotel that they're staying at, and then Vesper just all of a sudden becomes like petrified and like turns white whenever this guy with an eye patch shows up. So in this one, they give him a little bit more to do, where he's like the liaison between Quantum / Spectre, and he's gonna get the money and also kill Vesper. And we get a nice fight scene where Bond shoots a nail into his eye.
Yep. So he chases and finds them into the building. I think Bond shoots like those air
tank things. It's his own doing.
He's a one-man wrecking crew.
But it's a nice visual metaphor for the sinking of this domestic life that he is preparing to give up his spy career for. And it's beautiful.
While
and
still
sad.
allowing punching.
Poetic, but also fucking rad and exciting.
Yeah, we gotta make sure the Casino Royale adaptation ends in punching.
Yeah, it's a massive step up from like the finale of GoldenEye. I still think it's just a little choppier than like some of the previous action scenes.
It's not the best of the movie, but it's still great. Yeah.
My question, Jay, like that's got to be a miniature, right? Like, how do they do that? Because like the CG, the effects look pretty damn good. Like,
I think they actually sunk a building.
I think the exterior, is probably a miniature, but the interior is all a set at Pinewood Studios, which is pretty awesome.
It looks great. And again, the death scene of Vesper, brutal, heartbreaking, extremely well executed.
Brutal, heartbreaking, extremely well executed. I'm not quite sure what happens. Here's my guess.
She drowns.
So the bad guys lock her into an elevator, but she somehow makes the choice to make the elevator go down into the water.
Yeah, because she can't live with the fact that she betrayed Bond.
I get that part. I'm trying to figure out the mechanics of what she did there.
Oh, well, I don't know.
She locks herself in the elevator, so it's hard for Bond to even get her out in time, and so the elevator will drop, and she can like breathe in all the water, so she can kill herself.
I also love how Bond just misses her, like by a split second.
I'll admit, part of me, again, when you make a movie so gritty and real, maybe this sticks out a bit more. It's a bit weird that she dies and he lives when they have their mouths open the exact same amount in that whole scene.
Well, she was in the water a little bit longer than Bond was.
Well, and also Bond is he's trained for this shit. She is not. He's probably gone through.
Trained for it, but you can't survive underwater if you're just opening your mouth like this the whole time.
Whatever. She's dead. Bond pulls her out, tries to revive her. And you get like the shot where
some of the best acting
where he's trying to revive her, and then it cuts to a close up of him, and he's just filled with rage and despair, and his eyes are like inhumanly blue.
I've never seen a man like angrier in my life, and I'm including when they took off Top Gun Maverick off Netflix. And my dad got angry. That's the angriest I'd ever seen someone in my life, except for this.
Wait, your dad saw Top Gun Maverick in 2021?
Well, you get to see Daniel Craig act his fucking ass off with just filled with rage, and then he just collapses in despair in the most melodramatic fashion, caresses her body, and starts crying.
Yeah.
And then we see Mr. White pick up the money and walk away.
Whoa.
And then we have the famous "the bitch is dead" scene.
Job's done. The bitch is dead.
Well, yeah, we discussed the phone call bit, which I, again, made saying is like kind of insane how well, again, it's like, it's more things that like shouldn't work as well as they do, but that she just shows up on a phone call and is like, well, actually, she did love you, and you need to rededicate yourself to the thing, and your armor's back on, and, just telling you everything to tie the movie back together.
Well, again, it's interesting because in 2006, that Broccoli's would never end the movie like the book does with the line, "The bitch is dead." So you have the famous line because you're adapting Casino Royale, but then you have to immediately oh God,
yeah,
you gotta have a woman explain why actually this is healthy.
Well, the thing is in the book, Vesper writes down everything, explains the whole plot, but then stresses that she actually was in love with him. And then Bond's reaction to this is like, I've been had, you damn commies! Motherfucker, I'm back and I'm worse than ever!
In this, you can just feel that they genuinely loved each other.
Well, you feel that, but then...
They do confirm it.
Yeah, they do say
they do confirm it. Yeah, no, they do confirm it, but it's after he says the line,
I don't
which is
think
interesting.
I still don't think that this is like a reassuring scene. I think this is
very sinister. It is a reassuring scene. I do think it's a reassuring scene.
It's kind of threading the needle because obviously he's becoming James Bond. It's tragic, but it's not like, he's become Darth Vader or something.
No, but that's what makes the movie interesting, is that contradiction of like I said before, he just became the coolest man ever, but at what cost,
But it's a different cost than the book, whereas Jake says, in many ways, it's not like Batman, where he is motivated by the memory of his lost loved one. In the books, Vesper is his Joe Chill. Vesper is the guy who ruined it. While in the movie, it is the more traditional, more palatable, she elevated me, I was better for knowing
I like
her.
that.
Yeah, I like that too.
That's what the rearranging of I actually loved you, the bitch is dead, doing it before versus doing it after, which is what the movie does, reinforces.
Yeah.
Is like, well, you gained something from this, but also you got betrayed, and now you're completely
that's
shut
why
off.
I can't say M is the villain, because M is the voice reassuring him and getting him in a healthier place.
But just so he can do his bidding.
But if M wasn't there, he would have become a gamer gator, Jan.
That's true.
He would have become a right.
But yeah, I think the love story in this movie is so strong. It progresses so naturally that it makes sense that the focus is more on the love than on the Joe Chill aspect of it,
Yeah.
Also, one more point in this scene. I don't know why, but while Daniel Craig is talking to M the entire time, he's like playing with his toes, and it makes me very uncomfortable.
Who's driving the boat?
Isn't that the sailboat that they're using earlier?
Yeah, but Vesper was steering it earlier. Who's steering it now?
It's like in Step Brothers. He's like, the bitch is dead. He crashes.
Mamma mia, you crashed into my gondola. What are you
wrecked
doing,
my fucking boat,
idiot?
you goon.
And M is like, you do know that boat is MI6 property, right? Gotta go. Mr. White is out there.
The good news, I'm bringing back the boat. The bad news, I lost $200 million.
Well, wait, he is in Venice. We have to cut to him to the pigeon piloting the boat.
Yeah.
Double taking.
That would have made it a perfect film.
Well, when he gets the text that from Vesper that says Mr. White.
Oh, yeah.
He looks over at the driver of the boat. It's the pigeon, and the pigeon does a double take like, what?
We gotta, of course, talk about the last scene of the fully formed Bond.
So Mr. White shows up as palatial estate. I guess Madeline Swan is somewhere in there, maybe. I don't know.
Hearing her dad get like kneecapped.
And then Bond calls him and goes like, Mr. White, we need to talk. And we get, and then the note that keeps repeating the bum, bum, boom, bum, after Bond kneecaps him. And Bond walks up the stairs and peers over at Mr. White.
Full getup.
He's in a full decked out suit, and he goes,
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Huge cheer. Everyone goes crazy.
The Bond theme surges in. You just had your heart broken, but it doesn't matter. You know his name.
It's like, yeah, you love this shit. You love how he's a dehumanized monster, the monster you know and love, James Bond.
Yeah.
Revel in that. And you're like, yeah, okay. What are we rating Craig on?
His bloodshot eyes, his weird nose, his weird mouth. He's so weird looking.
He is kind of weird looking. I was going to say,
big
like,
ears?
cheek.
His
cheek
big ears.
He's got like jowls. Like,
Yeah.
He looks like a dog. He looks like a bulldog.
We're making him sound like Igor from Young Frankenstein.
Okay, I'm going to make the executive decision as co-founder of the podcast. I'm rating him on how blonde his hair is, because it's egregious that they would do this to us and give us a blonde Bond.
Okay, well, why don't I start with my final thoughts? Well, first of all, the hair, I feel like they didn't get Daniel Craig's hair right until Skyfall. Like, this kind of feels very much like the scruffy, like, mid-2000s boy look to it.
It's standing up, yeah.
Yeah, I don't love it. I don't mind that it's blonde, but yeah, the hair is okay. It's like a 6 out of 10. It looks better in some scenes than in other. The feet make me uncomfortable, like I said, so I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. Casino Royale itself. Well, I posed the question, is this considered a masterpiece by many people because it's genuinely a masterpiece, or just because of the novelty that it's a really good movie within this garbage franchise?
Stop it. Motherfucker.
I think it's both. I generally like watching this after watching like 20 of these fucking things is like insane, going from those to this. But also I think like, well, it's based on a really great novel, and the movie is a superb adaptation, I think, in every level. It works in everything that it sets out to be. It's an incredible action flick. It's an incredible, genuinely tense spy thriller. It has 45 minutes of poker that are riveting. It's a really great love story. It's a really great tragedy, too. It makes you pumped. It makes you sad. The acting is amazing. The dialogue is amazing. Yeah, this, along with Die Another Day, is the only James Bond movie where I literally have no gripes with it. I do think it's one of the best spy thrillers of all time, and it resettles James Bond as the king of spy movies. It's one of my favorite movies in general, but James Bond is blonde, so I'm gonna have to give it a 4 out of 10.
Tragic.
It's tragic. It's so close. Casino Royale. Yes, there's some novelty in watching this if you're watching in the context of the other movies, because I love the Bond movies. They are fun, escapist adventure movies, and that's pretty much what they set out to be. There's sometimes when the formula doesn't work as well as in other things, and then there are times where they, the craft of the filmmaking, they get it right. It's still a good time. Casino Royale is different from all those because it is trying to also be a character study, which is something we haven't really gotten in any of these movies, with the exception of like maybe a couple side characters, but even then, to mixed results. This one goes for it and does it perfectly. It's a great character study of James Bond while also being this intense action thriller. Yeah, in terms of adapting the novel, it's like, yeah, you have this pulpy, not action-oriented book that you're starting out from, but this is where this whole franchise comes from. And it does this delicate balance of, it's funny how the arc of the James Bond in the book is, what am I doing? How am I fighting in the Cold War? What's the point of fighting these guys? And the death of Vesper, this thing that happens, reinforces this idea that I need to stand up for king and country, and that's that. And this movie is like, okay, this is about a guy who has this shitty job where he kills people and is on the verge of not being human. He has the chance of happiness and growth, but that is all dashed away. The fact that it does this and subverts the Bond formula, yeah, it's one of those special movies. It is always in contention of being my favorite James Bond movie. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. Craig's hair. It's funny because sometimes it looks black or brown depending on the lighting. So it's a little bit of a dirty blonde this time. And yeah, you got that 2000s haircut. I still like it. I give it a 10. That's good.
Yes, this is hands down the best. Unequivocally a real movie. Congrats, everybody. We did it.
We did it. Yay.
Everything works, which is a delight. But at the same time, you're like, how the hell did it take this long?
45 years.
It's like we've been playing whack-a-mole with all these tropes where it's like we figured out the villain and then the romance is not even there, or like we figured out the romance, but there's no themes or anything, or we figured out the action, but like
the villain
the effects look horrible, like it's always something, right? It's all here. It's gritty, but much like Batman, it's gritty compared to what had immediately preceded it.
Yes.
But by the standards of what followed, it's still totally functional Hollywood entertainment.
It's fun.
And the number one thing, I don't think ever before or since has a character or a franchise benefited so much from the origin story treatment, because this character has been this static thing. It's just like an idea that is like hard to even wrangle into a human. Not only is he a human, he is fluid. He is a character. He is different, I maintain, in the beginning, middle, and end.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives license to have everything that you want to talk about, because you don't have to, it's not even really a dissection or a deconstruction, because it's not a fixed thing. He's a living, breathing person. And when he does things that are in the character that you know or out of the character that you know, it all works and it's all managed in this way that is told as a story, which is amazing. It delivers some refinements, but this is still a Bond movie, and this is still remarkably so a product of the same team, the same basic family, as we learned, the many families of Eon Productions. It's within the family, but they're still able to pull this off. For me, well, look, it's certainly like the high bar for what it could ever have been. But I call it a masterpiece. I'm not quite sure, because it really depends on how you feel about the genre, and also the fact that this is still undeniably the work of journeymen, not necessarily like anyone's personal vision of the character. That's a taste thing. Whatever.
Well, you could say it's the vision of Barbara Broccoli.
Well, yeah, it's a producer auteur.
Wanting to see an elevated genre movie, I guess.
That could be an argument, and we'll see how that bears out.
Oh my god.
The hair, I'm gonna give it like an 8 out of 10, because I'm gonna give the movie and the hair an 8 out of 10. The hair looks good, but it is that 2000 spiky, and as you and I discussed, Jake, they are tastefully, but definitely are using the 2000s digital teal and orange.
Yes.
Which is really something in the Bahamas scenes.
That's just your hair color. That's why you like it.
Yeah, it is.
Well, and that teal really works with Daniel Craig's eyes.
Jake likes Daniel Craig.
But do you see those fucking eyes? They just pierce your soul.
Okay, stop horning out for him.
Jan, you don't need to look up what a gooner is. You're seeing a gooner sitting right here.
We're seeing it in real time.
I'm real-time gooning right now.
3 hours of gooning.
All right. So, hair, it's very yellow in some parts. I'm not going to lie. When he's running in Africa, I'm like, that's not James Bond. That's a blonde guy in a Hawaiian shirt. That's just a married man going through a midlife crisis. But, as the movie goes on, by the time he gets into his tuxedo, they light it differently. And his hair gets darker. And in the future movies, it will also get darker. So they're mitigating it a bit. So I appreciate that. So on a scale of how blonde his hair is, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's blonde, but not distractingly so. Because he's a very dirty man. So, it counterbalances that.
Hobo energy.
Hobo energy.
Yes.
Oh, God. How does one talk about Casino Royale? All right. So watching this movie, I was considering 2 questions. 1, is this a real movie? And 2, I have been haunted by what Jan asked me is like, why am I less okay with this movie breaking the Bond formula than in License to Kill? So I'm rewatching the movie for the second time, and I think you guys touched upon it. Part of why this works better than License to Kill is you're kind of seeing all the elements come together. You're seeing the gun barrel. Like, it makes sense that it's messy and unfocused kind of at the beginning, and the formula's not quite there. And then as the movie comes on, it builds them together block by block until the end of it. Whereas with License to Kill, he just becomes a canon action hero when he's canonically been James Bond, and it's the canonical James Bond. And the whole movie doesn't reckon with him becoming a canon action hero. While in this movie, the film is reckoning with how the character is being built. And that's what makes this movie so exciting and why we're all having this reaction to it, is because it's a character study. It's a character study in a James Bond
pretty
movie.
good one, too.
Yeah. It's like, what the frick? Like, you're taking this guy who's like a monster, and then you're seeing him become like domesticated into being James Bond. And that's cool and that's amazing. And because being James Bond is such a weird thing, it's weirder than becoming Batman. Because with Batman, he's like, the city is bad. Everyone's a clown criminal. I'll dress up as a crazy guy and beat them up. Like, most superheroes are like that. With James Bond, you're like, why are you doing this specific thing? Why are you a government agent who is so bad at his job, who has sex with all these women, and like, you don't seem to display personal morals, but you need to save the world? And while in previous iterations, like Pierce Brosnan, they were like, he doesn't know how to survive without doing this. This movie makes, in my opinion, the case that being James Bond saves this man, because he is born a monster, but in becoming Bond, he achieves transcendence, and he can become a heroic figure with his monstrous tendencies. And that's what Vesper sees in him, because as she said, you're the greatest man I've ever met, because he's capable of that. Now, this does tie into my, is it a real movie question? And it's pretty aimless in the first hour. It's all well done, but it's a lot of vignettes. It doesn't have a strong through line for me. It does feel a bit like three movies wedged in together. And I know some people have critiqued a certain film about jazz called Whiplash.
What?
For being like, well, most people watch the movie and they get this impression of the arc from it. Miles Teller is going down a dark path and he's broken by J.K. Simmons. But some people look at Whiplash and they go, oh, Miles Teller reawakened a love for the music.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
In J.K. Simmons at the end when he's performing at the concert. So maybe is that a fault of the movie for that you don't quite know what the arc is? And likewise, I personally see Casino Royale as the story of a man taking his inherent monstrous nature because of that first hour, and becoming James Bond elevates him. And other people see it as, no, he becomes the monster. He recommits to being James Bond. And I would argue this extends to the filmmakers as well, because I think Quantum of Solace takes that point of view, but I don't think this movie does. So there's a little thematic, they're trying to do themes, and it's a little thematic.
Well, I like that it doesn't spoon feed you what it's about.
It reminds me a lot of when I think it was all four of us and maybe even some other people that saw the Dark Knight re-release in 2018, I think. And that was interesting because we walked out of it and I don't know, I think somebody was like, wow, well, you know, Batman went through a lot, but in the end, he beat the Joker. And then somebody else was like, no, the Joker won, you know? It's like...
Yeah, no, well...
I am more of that vein, yeah. I have a more cynical outlook, I guess, on these things.
As the guy who said Batman beat the Joker, I guess with both The Dark Knight and Casino Royale, yes, those movies might in some ways be more powerful if they said that being James Bond and being Batman sucks. And we get that impression for the first 2/3 of the movie. But I do think Casino Royale, maybe a little less successfully than The Dark Knight, does reiterate at the end that no, being James Bond is cool and transcendent because that's what they're trying to sell you to keep the franchise, to keep going.
Yeah, I disagree, but like I said, I appreciate the ambiguity of the movie that people can have different reads.
I think, but my point is, that a lot of these great movies, I mean, I think this applies to historically, like most of the movies that are really widely praised, for better or worse. I mean, it's a kind of a philosophical argument. They do allow quite different readings.
I think that's less of a problem with the thematic elements not being addressed properly. It's more of the pieces are there, but
you have to make
in the
them.
end, it's a Rorschach test.
No, it's like, it's great that we're having a conversation about it. and different reads on it instead of just all of us going like, I like it because he does the thing with the car, you know?
I think, I think, and that's what elevates it. I guess there's a part of me that is like, when I'm thinking about like how I rate a movie, I'm like, I like the ambiguity, but at a certain point I do, what really makes a masterpiece for me is that the director successfully achieved its goal. It kind of got me to where I wanted to be with that movie, and I felt there wasn't a lot of money left on the table.
That's
and there
fair.
are some movies in this series that do that. This movie comes close. It's, oh my God, do I like it more than Octopussy and Goldfinger? I found myself going back and forth on this because those movies have stronger through lines.
But the point is, you think the movie's very good.
Oh yeah, no, I'm downing it. Also, wait, I will throw this one political grenade in here.
Oh no.
It does somewhat matter if the director wants you to know if the secret agent who does extrajudicious torture in the middle of the war on terror, if they think he's a good or a bad guy. And I remember at this age, and this time, with the age of Jack Bauer, another JB, and Jason Bourne, another JB, is that we all were like, yes, do the extrajudicial stuff. And maybe now in hindsight, we maybe would be like, maybe we should have had more people questioning this. That's not a knock on Casino Royale, really. It's just me pointing out that it's like the inability to say that this is maybe very questionable.
But it's a movie.
I see what you're saying. Like, we see it differently depending on the I'll go full Kamala Harris. It's all about the context.
Well, I am going to fall out of this coconut tree and give this movie 9 out of 10,
Yay.
4.5 out of 5. It has heart. It has a good character study. Everyone's firing on all cylinders. And whatever else happened, it has the coolest song ever written. Whenever I need to get pumped, I listen to You Know My Name. That alone would get it where it is.
I listen to Moonraker.
Yeah, and let's play out this episode by playing a little bit of Chris Cornell's You Know My Name. Wait a second. No, not another way to die. Oh shit, next week is Quantum of Solace.
I like that song.
I like that one too. That's our big finish.
Anyway, see you next week, folks.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to 4 hours of our...
Thank you for your patience.